Hi everyone and welcome to DR Sports Fight Club. I'm really excited tonight, man. Big night of boxing, biggest night of boxing in this country so far this year. And we're only in January. We're going to be covering a lot more fights. We've got MMA fights we're covering, boxing. So yes, we're doing the whole thing, man. But before I go any further, let me introduce my specialised panel today. To my left, we've got Shane. Big round of applause for Shane in the house.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you for having me.
To my right, we got Nick in the house. What are you saying, Nick?
Well, man, I'm here, man. I'm here. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm excited. World title fight. Do you know what I mean?
What
more could you want?
This is a massive night of boxing. Anthony Yarde, beast from the East. He's taking on Artur Beterbiev for the light heavyweight championship of the world. Beterbiev, if you didn't already know, well, this man is an absolute monster. 18 fights. 18 wins, 18 by knockout. He's the only man currently in boxing world champion who has a 100% record of KOs. He's pretty much wiped the floor with everybody that's come before him so far. He's up against
champion.
Anthony Yarde tonight.
He's a unified champion, free belt holder.
Champion, yeah. Yeah, all of that. And he's coming up against Anthony Yarde. Now, Anthony Yarde, I think 23. Oh, as I'm watching, we talk about upset. We could be, this is amazing what I'm seeing here. KAROL Itauma, who's supposed to be one of our biggest prospects, he's out.
He's been wiped out. Wow.
He's been knocked out by an Argentinian guy. Listen, man, hey.
And that weren't
you just tipping these guys to be world champions?
No, his brother.
I know, but even still.
Wow, that was a really good single shot as well. Because it was a one punch. It wasn't even.
KAROL Itauma, brother of Moses Itauma, who I'm going to talk about a bit later on. But
he's fighting after this fight as well.
KAROL Itauma, who's a very highly rated prospect, expected to go very far. He's just had his taken away from him
by a journeyman.
From Argentina, who none of us had heard of before, and he's come in and he's knocked him out. One punch. And
do you know what? And before we even get to that. Before that, when we were watching it, it didn't even look like this Argentinian dude even was looking to engage. He was just moving around, really
straight down the pipe.
But it didn't even land clean. It was like it'd been
a bit of a build-up. He'd been catching some shots here and there.
That did land clean, bro. That did land clean.
He's been catching some shots here and there, Itauma, unfortunately. And I enjoy seeing these. Obviously, you know, I'm excited to see what Itauma can do going forwards, but I enjoy seeing these journeymen get wins because they don't get a lot of respect, and boxing very much relies on good, experienced journeymen to kind of be the benchmark for these fighters.
But you know, sometimes, in boxing, and Laurie, you know this, winning as a journeyman can also be a hindrance to your career also.
True. Absolutely,
because some people don't want you to actually upset the apple cart and they actually don't call you in for next fights. I don't think that will be the case in this situation, but that's something that does happen. Yeah. I mean, what's the problem now is when you lose at a certain level, that's something that you can't take away. It's not like in football or in any other sport where when you take that L, you know, you just keep it moving. That loss stays on your resume and it does have a massive effect on your matchmaking moving forward. You know, it's like, I want to know what effect it has on his brother Moses, because obviously...
Well, his brother's up next.
I think there's one more fight and then his brother.
Okay, his brother's up later on the card. He's one of the chief supports. But trust me, people, this is a massive upset because KAROL Itauma, British guy of, is it Slovakian and Nigerian descent? But anyway, he's a highly touted prospect, expected to go far, unbeaten up to this point, top amateur himself. He's just been knocked out by an Argentinian guy that none of us had ever heard of. So it just goes to show people that, and we were talking about this before you guys come on air, is that in this sport, man, anything can happen.
Anything.
We were literally talking about, weren't we, Shane?
Literally, I was literally saying that because we were talking about
because in the main event, we got Beterbiev, as I was saying, absolute monster, everyone's favourite to pretty much run through Anthony Yarde. But the one thing that a lot of people are holding on to with Anthony Yarde is that he is a big puncher.
Very big puncher.
And I said to Shane, and Shane wasn't quite having it. And listen, I can understand why he's not having it, but I'm going to maintain that anyone can get caught, man. And if you can punch like Anthony Yarde, you're in with a chance against anyone in the world.
No, that's a fact.
Which is what makes this fight tonight so intriguing.
But that's a fact. But this is the thing, yeah? In this case, In fact, I want to leave it till later. But what I want to say in response to what you've just said is, though, Beterbiev's fought punches before, and it's not like we haven't seen vulnerabilities. You've seen him. We saw him get dropped against Page. You saw him get dropped against Johnson as well. Yeah. So we have seen him get hurt and dropped. But I feel like recently, in what we've seen of Beterbiev recently, he's given so much respect to his opponents. If you saw how he fought Joe Smith, who is also another big puncher. You know, we saw how Joe Smith knocked out Ali Alvarez. He knocked out. What was that dude he knocked out?
Marcus Brown.
Marcus Brown. Not Marcus Brown. He knocked out Jesse Hart.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so he's a big puncher also. And Beterbiev just wiped him out in 2 rounds. So sometimes, like, you having power could also be to your own detriment. And I feel like if you don't have the ability to set that up, if you don't have the ability, again, Beterbiev isn't someone who's just going balls to the wall, just letting hands go. He's got method behind it. It's not just straight power. You're not going to be able to just take advantage of those, him being reckless. That's not going to happen.
Speaking of method as well, the other thing is their camps and their trainers. You know, Beterbiev's camp and coach is so much more experienced than Yarde's are.
Mark Ramsey.
John Scully.
We saw Yarde take the step up against Kovalev, and we saw, you know, Tunde say empty the tank when Kovalev looked. That was the moment where maybe a different game plan could have got them over the line, and they went for it, emptied the tank, and then Kovalev got the win. So it's a test of his whole team as well for what is the game plan that you can come up against this beast. If they empty the tank against Beterbiev, it will be an early night.
You said such a great thing, because why that's so important is because I heard Tunde talk, and Tunde wants this as much as Yarde.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to save your man to fight another day.
Yeah.
And what I want to see is, if you're seeing Yarde in a situation where he's getting beaten and it's sustained beating, I don't want your emotions in there saying, oh, you can still do it, you can still win. Yarde's going to keep going, he's not going to quit. But you're supposed to save him from himself. And I don't want you to just leave him out there to keep fighting if you know he's getting damage, because we've seen Beterbiev retire fighters, and that's not what we want him to do to Yarde.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? You know, lots of fighters want to go out on their shield. You know, we saw a big knockout last week, Eubank and against Smith, and some people were upset about the stoppage. But I was saying to some of my friends in that before the stoppage happened, the towel was coming into the ring anyway. You know, so it's
no, the stoppage was legit.
Yeah, of course.
Legit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been some controversy post-fight. Eubank and his corner and his team are trying to say that he got caught with an illegal elbow. I mean, listen, I've watched it back several times. Yeah, I think there was an elbow that went in there, but then there was also about 5 or 6 punches that, you know what I mean, was in that combination.
That's my position as well. I think there was an elbow, but I don't think that the elbow was... it wasn't a significant factor with regards to the knockout.
In boxing, and if you like, as you guys both know, you never get, like, even if it's an illegal shot, you rarely get those overturned. You rarely. I mean, look at the Lucas Brown and Junior Farr fight that happened last year. That was a punch that was behind the air. Junior Farr tried to appeal it, but nothing happened of it. Sometimes when you take it, you just got to affirm it.
That's right. It's never going to get overturned, really, is it? I mean, sometimes it can lead to a rematch. Sometimes illegal punching can lead to a disqualification, actually.
It appears
remember going back to the Terry Norris days, he got disqualified twice against the same opponent, remember?
Yeah,
when he hit a guy on the floor.
But
this is different.
That happened with Roy Jones Jr. as well. When you remember in Roy Jones Jr. fight, Roy Jones, his first ever loss that happened also. I do think, but that was... at the time, you rarely get a fight overturned after the fact. Like, once the day's over and the next day they try to appeal it, it rarely gets overturned. Like, even times where I've actually believed that it should be overturned, like when certain fighters have actually been busted for PEDs and they fought a fight. That L was still on that person's resume. Look at Marcus Brown, speaking of him, when he lost to Jean Pascal. He was on the peds in that fight. That L was still on his resume.
A lot of the appeal isn't just about overturning the result. They know that's not going to get overturned, but a lot of it is about saving face, right? So that when they go to negotiate the next fight, to keep your fighter's stock as high as possible, they can say, the loss wasn't legit, we got caught with an elbow, but trust me, our fight is still a top fighter, etc., etc., etc. So it's as much about saving the stock and saving that as trying to overturn, do you know what I mean?
Fair.
Right, let's go through some of the comments. First one up here from Anthony Harty. He said, Yarde getting smashed like the other 18.
It's hard to disagree.
Jack Mannion, he says, Anthony Yarde, 7th round KO. You heard it first here, people. Who else we got? Jack Burton says, Yarde ain't going to be gun-shy like he was in the first Arthur fight. I think that's a very good point.
I think that's going to be to his detriment.
Yarde has a chance. Don't know how big, but I think Beterbiev wins mid-late stoppage. A lot of people are doing that. Yeah, it's kind of mixed so far, man. I mean, I've got to tell you, people, that most of, if not all of the boxing experts have Beterbiev not just for favourite, but a heavy favourite. So we're trying to get a little poll up. Who do you think's going to win tonight? Beterbiev, who's the man with the titles and the reputation and the 100% KO record, or Yarde, who, let's be honest, he's a big puncher himself. 23 fights, I think it's 21 stoppages. He can punch, but his experience is nowhere near the level of Beterbiev, obviously. But he's at home. Beterbiev is 38. I think he just recently turned. That's a lot. That's old in boxing. Although, let's be honest, he's not really been tested that much. Although he did have, was it over 300 amateur fights?
300 amateur fights.
That's a lot of wear and tear, bro.
Of course, but this is the thing, and this is where I'm saying I 100% agree where everyone's coming when they talk about age. But there's also levels in boxing. Like, Kovalev was old when Yarde fought him. Kovalev was old, and Yarde couldn't get over the line. And this is not a Kovalev. And I 100% agree.
But this is a better Yarde, right?
It's a better Yarde, but this is my point. I 100% agree with the age factor if I see regression in a fighter. I've only seen improvement in Beterbiev. I'm being dead honest. If you look at his last 2 fights, you can arguably say, other than Voldic, Marcus Brown and Joe Smith Jr., who was also another champion, was 2 of his best fighters on his resume. And he cleaned them out so easy. It was like easy work of 2 top fighters. And if you be honest, Joe Smith was on a run. He beat Alvarez, he beat Vlasov, he beat Jesse Hart. He was on a really good run leading up to that fight. And he got wiped out in 2 rounds. Yeah. So it's not like I'm seeing regression in Beterbiev. I'm actually seeing improvement. So it's very difficult to say age when this dude's improving at this age. It's very difficult to say.
No, but I think it's fair to say that Yarde's improving as well. I mean, you saw his fight against Lyndon Arthur. The first fight, he's had 2 fights with Lyndon Arthur. Who's a good fighter himself, by the way. Lyndon, big up Lyndon Arthur and Pat Barrett and them man from up north. Right, so the first fight with Lyndon Arthur, Anthony Yarde went in there. He didn't look that good. I think there was some mitigating circumstances.
Obviously.
He did lose a couple of family members around about that time. But anyway, we know that he lost that fight on points. It was a close fight. But in the second fight they had,
just whacked him out.
Anthony Yarde pretty much destroyed Lyndon Arthur.
You can't go in with that mentality against Beterbiev, though.
No, but, you know, different fighters, different time, you know, different occasion. But he went in there against a guy that had beaten him previously and wiped the floor with him. So, Nick, based on that, do you think Anthony Yarde... Give us some... Because I know before when we were speaking off air, you think that Yarde has a chance. Tell the people why you think he has a chance.
I think he's got a better chance than the bookies are giving him from a physical perspective. You know, he's very fit. His strength is his athleticism. Obviously, he can punch. His key strength is his athleticism, but he will have to fight a near perfect fight, and that's where I think that the lack of an elite level trainer and team around him is going to really cost him in fights like this, because, you know, we see, so obviously, you know, we look at boxing as an individual sport because you're in there all on your own, but it isn't. There's a massive team behind you. Lots of these guys that are elite level fighters like Beterbiev and Bivol and these guys, they have great teams and great strong relationships around them, Usyk and the like, and I just don't know how confident I am in his team getting the game plan absolutely correct. And I agree kind of with what Shane's saying, where we've seen Yarde get better, but not better necessarily to the level of to that level. Like you guys said before, if you saw Yarde fight Joe Smith Jr. for the world title when he had it, Yarde still would have been the underdog, and then he lost to Beterbiev. So but you think that Beterbiev's already beaten and comfortably beaten people who are a level above Yarde, so what? You know, it's nervy, scary hours.
If you look back throughout boxing history, you will see that there have been bigger upsets than this.
Facts.
We just saw one.
Facts.
Exactly.
Facts.
You know, most famously, Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Lloyd Hannigan versus Donald Curry. You know what I mean? The list is endless. I could go through and name them. Guys who you would have thought have no chance, but yet still they overcame the odds. Shane, I know you're heavy on Beterbiev to win tonight. That's despite you.
I like Yarde. I really like Yarde. I've met both of them on numerous occasions.
Yep.
And the hospitality that they've given me, like when I've been at cards and stuff, has always been amazing. So it's not the fact that I don't want them to win.
Sure.
It's just when you mix all of the ingredients into the pot, and I've said this before on this channel, is my boxing eye doesn't allow me to pick Yarde just based on what I know of boxing. And yes, Yarde has a puncher's chance, and the unfortunate thing is that's the only chance he has. If we're going to be honest, other than landing the money shot and knocking Beterbiev out, how else can he win? Because he's not going to outbox Yarde. He's not going to outbox Beterbiev.
That is the way the landscape is. You don't have to go points if you can knock him out.
Of course.
But the concern I have is when he has landed that punch against an elite fighter, the game plan still wasn't correct to actually see the fight over the line because of the team that's around him. Do you know what I mean?
Facts.
You know, he can be. We've seen it before where, you know, like the fight he had with Kovalev reminded me a bit of AJ and what's AJ's first loss?
Ruiz,
where AJ landed a money shot, Ruiz is rocked, AJ rushes in, Ruiz hits a money shot straight back and reverses the whole momentum. And it was the same thing. Anthony Yarde hit Kovalev. Kovalev was rocked. They started screaming lions in the camp in the corner, and you know he went over there.
Yeah, I hear you. I think
You know, and the moment he missed the moment.
Yeah, it's slightly different because I think what happened was under the instructions from the corner, Anthony Yarde went crazy and just
That's what I mean.
Emptied the tank
That's what I mean.
and tired himself out. Whereas with AJ, like you said, he rushed in thinking he was going to finish Andy Ruiz and got caught on the top of the head with a shot, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's a fact. What a lot of people in the comments might not know is that Beterbiev also beat Usyk in the amateurs. He beat Usyk, he beat Kovalev, he beat Volzik in the pros and the amateurs. I even think he beat Bivol in the amateurs. Like, this dude has fought top level fighter after top level fighter. So
there's no doubt. There's no doubt. If you look at the records of the two fighters, then yes, it's
a mismatch.
Beyond comparison. But we all know that boxing doesn't work that way.
No.
We've just seen a fight a minute ago. And listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This guy from Argentina was brought over here so that Itauma could look good and knock him out. He's ended up knocking Itauma out. Listen, we've seen it before in boxing, many times before. Even last week, there's a lot of people that were picking you back to win. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be wise after the event, but I said to anybody that would listen that I thought Liam Smith was going to win.
You did say
but even I didn't think that Liam Smith was going to knock him out like that.
And not so easily. I didn't think he was going to win so easily.
I think for me, like I've said this to you before, Laurie, like I think I've branded them, Eubank and Yarde, both as Instagram fighters, guys who look really good on the scales, guys who look really good on the scales. You know, we've got a poll up in the chat. The poll's saying 42% in favour of Anthony Yarde, which is huge compared to what the bookies are saying. Yeah. But a lot of that is people that are looking at this guy and thinking, yeah, he looks good. He looks good. Someone in the chat actually said if it wasn't for poor guidance throughout his career, Yarde would be multiple world champion by now. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's a bit strong.
I 100%, no offence to you, but I 100% disagree. I actually feel like because of Frank Warren, he's even in this position in the first place. Yeah, because if you want to be honest, Yarde has done absolutely nothing in terms of his past opponents to even warrant a second world title shot. You look at people like Buatsi, Callum Smith, they haven't even had one.
Callum Smith.
At 175, Not at 175.
But he's been a world champion.
Oh yeah, of course. But I mean, since
light heavyweight,
light heavyweight, he hasn't had one, and
because this light heavyweight division is stacked. Well, 168 stacked.
No, but we all know the boxing landscape. You don't have to have won a certain amount of fights and
But this
achieved, you know what I mean?
This
But
is
he's
why.
saying
This
if
is
you
why.
haven't- if
This
it
is
wasn't
why.
for
Yeah.
management.
This is why I call them Instagram fighters, because part of it is about selling tickets. They have such big social media platforms. They have such big. Back when he was beating journeyman, and I really was not very impressed with him at all. He was still selling much more tickets than fighters that were way better than him partly because of his physique.
but
partly
that's
because of
always
his
been the way in
character.
boxing. That's nothing new.
I agree with that. But before it was Instagram fighters, I would have called them something else, MySpace fighters.
yeah.
But now, we're in the Instagram age, and that's just what it is.
But look at it. Yarde is the home fighter against a unified 18 fight undefeated champion. So he has actually brought the champion from Canada over here to fight. That is in itself alone should tell you the pool that he has.
Yeah.
That fight is bigger in the UK.
I think a lot of that is about British fight fans as well. Do you know what I mean? Because we got that scene here,
Of course, but that should show it in itself that a unified champion with 3 belts is traveling to UK to fight someone who's never even held a version of a world title.
Yeah, we've got Tommy Fletcher versus Daryl Sharp as well, just starting off now.
Yeah, this is
Tommy Fletcher, he's a young prospect. He's trained by Mark Tibbs. Mark Tibbs is, you probably heard the name, that's quite a famous boxing family. He's the son of Jimmy Tibbs. Mark Tibbs used to be, I remember watching Mark Tibbs myself back in the days at York Hall. Good fighter, very good amateur, and a good professional.
He's a good coach. He used to coach Dylan White, Billy Joe Saunders.
I would say, with regards to Dylan, some of Dylan's best performances have been with Mark
if
Tibbs.
you look at it, Mark Tibbs never lost a fight with Dylan White.
Yeah.
Dylan White's first loss with AJ, Mark Tibbs, it was Jonathan Banks, the coach, and then we lost to Povetkin. That was his first fight without Mark Tibbs.
Yeah, we saw a massive decline when he wasn't with. But like I said before, a lot of the coach relationship with a fighter. I used to fight myself, even in my football career. Like a lot of that.
But you used to fight in your football career.
I did actually. Yeah, like most yellow cards for Hampton and Richmond. But I think I never had a yellow card in my whole football career. Only straight reds.
Wow.
Only straight reds.
So you go from zero to
100. But a lot of the coaching thing is about relationships. So sometimes it's not just about strategic. You look at AJ with McCracken, who I think is very limited as a coach, but a lot of it is about the relationship.
Don't let Carl Froch hear you say that.
Well, I mean, Carl Froch was also limited with Robert McCracken also.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? But it's like there's somebody that could be a better manager, but then there's someone else that could maybe get the most out of you.
Absolutely.
If we want to relate that back to someone like, no offense, but Tunde Ajayi, and I like Tunde Ajayi, and I actually think Tunde's done a really good job with
you. know what Buck's coming here.
Does my head in at Tunde, I'll be honest.
I think when it comes to the management side of things, they've managed him horribly because
Yarde.
of course. And
How can they manage him horribly?
No,
when
you
he's
said
had
you said a second ago Queensbury's managed them really well.
I think they've managed him in terms of getting him a world title shot and all that.
Yeah, his career.
No, so that's brilliant management.
Wait. Let me explain where I'm.
You mean coaching?
I mean in terms of actual. If we're talking about progressing someone's career to improve as a fighter, not to get opportunities. They done an amazing job to get opportunities, but in terms of progressing, in terms of skills and get him the opponents where it's actually going to test him, I don't think they've done it.
I think he's been managed very well.
So let me ask you a question. You think that looking at his opponents, fighting only, who did he fight? Lyndon Arthur and Kovalev is good at this stage of his career?
Well, you've answered your own question. You said, like, the guy's got limited experience, but yet he's had 2 world title shots.
But he's saying that might not actually be good management.
That's not helping him in terms of improving his skills.
There are fighters, better fighters than Anthony Yarde that are not had 2 world title opportunities.
I hear that, but
he's saying that's a bad thing.
So what I'm saying, it's a different argument. I think what you're saying is this preparation to this point one that has deservedly brought him to this point? Then I would say no. Then again, if you're talking about has he been managed well, I'd have to say he's been managed very well.
I know, I get what you're saying, and I do feel like there's a different conflict.
There's both sides.
Yeah, it's a different argument.
But what the argument I'm trying to say is, if the aim is to make him have fame, money, and world title shots, then cool. But if the aim is to improve him as a fighter, you cannot tell me that the fights that he's had up to this level has continuously improved him as a fighter. You cannot tell me.
When a guy comes into the boxing gym most people start boxing very, very young. A lot of it is grandfathered in, actually, from parents and grandparents and stuff like that. When a guy comes into the boxing gym who's a little bit older, who's a little bit raw, maybe coming from the streets, he's got that aggression, and they just want to point that aggression in the right place, especially like someone like Yarde that's coming in a little bit later, AJ as well, how much do they actually try to improve this person on a technical level, and how much do they just try to this isn't pushing back against you, this is adding to both, just want to get your thoughts on that, how much they just try and put this young, aggressive, physically strong guy and point him in the right direction, rather than actually let's try and upskill this guy.
People keep thinking that Yarde is the only one who hasn't had a lot of amateur fights. He's the only one who hasn't had a lot.
I use AJ as a good example as well. And a lot of
Bernard Hopkins was one. Dylan White never had a lot of amateur fights. I think Dylan White had less amateur fights than Yarde, but he had progressive fights. Yes, he lost when he stepped up, but he had progressive fights.
Exactly.
But my point is, at least you can see.
Dylan's never going to win a world title. You know that.
Maybe Yarde might never win a world title, but I can honestly
find out
say.
Tonight.
But I can honestly say Dylan has maximized his abilities. He's got
so maybe Anthony.
I don't think he has, because he is so physically gifted. I haven't seen any progression in Yarde since he's turned pro.
So is it fair to say that
I haven't seen any progression in Yarde since he's turned pro?
How can you say that when the only man that beat him, he destroyed him in the rematch? You can't say that.
Because the same flaws.
You cannot say that he's not improved, because he took on a guy that beat him on points. He went into the rematch and he destroyed that guy. So surely that's improvement.
I think that's more down to mentality, and you alluded it to before.
Yeah, he had problems in the first fight.
Whereas I think the same flaws that he had before, he has them exact same flaws.
No, but
now.
every fighter has flaws.
No, I didn't say that. I said the same flaws he had before.
No, but every fighter has the same flaws.
Okay,
no,
1 second. Shane. Let's put it to you then, Laurie. Where do you feel that Anthony Yarde has progressed from fight 5 to fight 25? Where do you think he's got better?
I think his body punching's got better, because if you look at the second fight in Lyndon Arthur, it was the body work that destroyed.
But given the personal circumstances, do we have to throw out?
But he's always had volume, though.
What Shane's saying.
No. But you asked me a question and I answered.
What Shane's saying is that the first Lyndon Arthur fight was a poor display, rather than the second Lyndon Arthur fight being a good display.
I think you have to give him credit, because Lyndon Arthur, that's the only loss on his record. Lyndon Arthur is a good fighter.
Yeah, of course.
And not only that, Lyndon Arthur was a top amateur, represented this country. So
you're just talking
that wasn't a win against a mug. No, hold on. That wasn't a win against a mug. Lyndon Arthur is an established, very good fighter. He's one of our best heavyweights in this country. He's only had the one loss on his record, and that's through Anthony Yarde. So, listen, I think he has improved. I think tonight we're going to see how much he's improved, but I do think he's improved since he lost.
I think we have to separate his coaching and his management. But I think his management has been very good, but his coaching hasn't.
But look at the flaws that I saw when he first came in, and I still see those flaws. He still fights in spurts, so he doesn't sustain attacks. He doesn't have great footwork in terms of his foot placement and his foot speed. He still has those flaws. He doesn't have a great gas tank. He still has those flaws. These are things that they could work on that I haven't seen any improvement since.
I think you're being harsh.
Canelo Alvarez, right, is seen by many, not myself, by the way, as the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world.
It's top 3.
Do you know that ever since Canelo has been fighting, people have highlighted things like his volume and his footwork are no good? Those were things that were earmarked early on in his career, and still to this day, he's not mastered them. So to say that Anthony Yarde's not made improvements because he's still exhibiting some of the same flaws he did.
All of the same flaws.
Listen,
all of the same flaws.
What I'm saying is,
Canelo's got good footwear, by the way. I want to challenge that.
All fighters have flaws. So, right, Nick, go on.
First of all, Canelo's got very good footwork. So I'm going to.
I wouldn't say.
I think he's got very good.
A lot of observers say that his footwork is poor.
I think he's got very good footwork.
And I'll tell you something else. He himself gave an interview recently, Canelo, where he said that he doesn't run anymore. Because I don't know if you've seen he fights with knee, bro. He's got bad knees. So that would seem to indicate that
Billy Joe Saunders eye socket crack was literally was like a step to the side and crack. I think it's footwork.
No, but that's not seen as one of the strongest areas.
No, I agree with you. I think Shane's been a little bit harsh to say there's no progression. I think there's been some. I think there's been some progression, but I would agree with Shane that. But I think
we're clutching at straws when we look at.
No, but I agree with both of you that most players,
right? They're going to be better at some things than they are.
That's what I was going to say.
You know what's so tragic? The chances that we're giving, the tragic. You know what's so tragic? The chances that we're giving Yarde. You said athleticism and you said power. Those are God-given talents. So there's nothing that his
still got to harness them.
I hear that, but those are God-given talents.
You still got to harness them.
100% agree. And in my opinion, when you look at that, I don't think when you look at all the ingredients that you need in your ability to, your footwork, your hand skills, your head movement, when you look at all of that and you look at a steady progression of a fighter, and even if you want to use AJ as an example, there's flaws of AJ that I've seen, and I've actually seen when in a camp. So for example, if you remember the Povetkin fight, where I literally saw him change his style in mid-fight. I saw him change his style mid-fight in that Povetkin fight. Look at the Ruiz fight when after the rematch, completely changed his style. You can actually see aesthetically he looked different. He started to do different things in camp. He brought in different sparring partners. In my opinion, since the Kovalev fight, I always said Yarde has very difficult problems in terms of where he places his feet and transitional foot speed. It's not that good. And he had those same problems against Lyndon Arthur in the first fight.
My answer to that is, Shane, listen, let's be realistic. You don't have to be the perfect fighter to be successful. Just like in football, you don't need to be two-footed and have the level of excellence.
Some managers quick and can finish, and that's it.
Sometimes you just got certain things that work in your favour and you're able to maximise.
He's going to have to be perfect today.
I've seen in football, and Nick will tell you this, players like Arjen Robben, even Lionel Messi, very left-footed, but try stop him. But anyway, let's move on.
Messi's got an amazing right foot as well. I'll challenge that.
But
He doesn't.
It's fair to say that the left foot is a lot stronger than the right.
But Messi's right foot is still better than lots of players' right foot.
I think you're saying that I think he should have no weaknesses. I'm not saying that.
If you were being hypercritical of Messi, you would say that his right foot is not that good.
But I'm not saying that
he's not a genuinely two-footed player. But look at, he's regarded not just as the best player in the world by many. So we'll say he's the best player that ever lived. Yeah. But anyway, let me just read out some of these comments.
Please.
Himanshu, he said the last two uppercuts that Beterbiev gave to Joe Smith were like atom bombs. Jack Burton says Tunde is like an amateur. That Lions thing is corny.
I like Tunde.
Himanshu says, Laurie, what happened to boxing lowdown? No stream for a long time. No, the boxing lowdown is no longer going, although we do have something on DR Sports, the DR Sports Fight Club, which you're watching now. We're going to be doing a lot more fights. We're going to be doing a lot more events. So keep in
Hopefully
tune. See what's going on.
Comes through as well.
Tunde, worst trainer in the country. That's very harsh. Come on.
Tunde's a good trainer.
You know what I mean?
Tunde's a good trainer.
Tunde's limited as a trainer.
He's limited, but he's a good trainer though.
Got one here from Sino7. Eubank is pure hype. Lost to Saunders and Groves. Golovkin would KO him at age 40.
Agreed.
Disagree with that.
By his first name, last name, he says the kid's had lying in the camp talk for his entire career. Give a proper trainer the dedication and raw power Yarde has, and his career would have looked miles better.
If you want a proper football comparison, because someone in the chat said you can't compare Yarde to Messi, which is absolutely true. I think Yarde is the Harry Maguire of boxers.
No, that's disrespectful.
Listen, let me just qualify what I said.
I'm telling you, but I think that Yarde is surrounded by lots of yes men, which ultimately they gas him up. They use a lot of motivational tactics for him and stuff like that. And I think that they are weak on the actual technical side.
I wouldn't say
and
that
the
Jimmy
tactical
Cook
side.
is a yes.
But he's new though. He is a new introduction. He's new.
No, he's not new. Jimmy Cook was brought into the camp when he lost to Kovalev. After he lost to Kovalev, they brought Jimmy Cook on board.
And how many fights has he had since then?
Years ago.
How many fights? This guy's not very active. How many fights has he had since then?
I think he had the Nick Spellman fight. He had that fight in Spain against that. Never heard of that dude.
Yeah.
And then the two fights with Lyndon as well.
And the two fights with Lyndon.
That's 4 fights. Yeah.
I mean,
a lot of fighters are not that active.
And another thing I was going to say to you as well is, if you remember, and I said this to you and Daryl, I actually picked Yarde to demolish Arthur in a rematch. You don't remember when I told you? I said he's going to knock him out in the first 4 or 5 rounds. Because what I saw in that last round of the first fight was when Yarde flicked the switch, Arthur couldn't deal with that pressure. And I've always said that the difference is in this fight, I don't know what game plan you're going to go with other than just landing the money shot and going home. I don't know the game plan.
That's what's going to be really interesting for me as well, is where are you going to what weakness are they seeing in Beterbiev? You know, if you put all of their attributes up against each other's attributes, who's a more powerful puncher, do you think?
Yarde and Beterbiev.
Right, so apart from that, I don't know where you might put Yarde's strength over Beterbiev. So I don't know what they're going to try to...
He has more athleticism.
He's younger. I think he's faster.
Yeah.
He's more explosive.
Yeah, he looks to be more explosive. Listen, there's a lot of intangibles there. But the basic premise of what I'm saying is 2 guys who can punch, get in a ring, anything can happen.
Of course.
I mean, we saw it earlier on tonight with a guy that's, let's face it, he's brought over here, he's not even known as a puncher. And he's
got
just
10
one
knockouts.
of our best prospects.
Yeah, he had 10 knockouts on
Yarde
his
won,
record,
would
but
you
in
be
about 40
surprised?
fights.
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't be surprised if Yarde won.
I would be surprised but not shocked. I think that's fair to say because I've seen this so many times play
facts.
out, bro.
I have seen it so many
I've
times.
seen like
so many times.
so-called monsters get derailed, get knocked out, get beaten.
Do you know-
and everyone's
but do you-
there.
I think the thing is that
thinking, how
people
did that happen? It happened.
have more confidence that Beterbiev could, if the fight's close, Beterbiev could probably find his way through the fight better than Yarde can.
Do you know what? Yeah, what worries me the most, and I'm wanting Yarde to win, but what worries me the most is the fact that we've seen Beterbiev drop twice. And the 2 times you saw Beterbiev drop is when he's looking to knock that person out, and he's just going all out, and then he just gets clipped with a shot.
How many times before last week had you seen Eubank get dropped?
Never.
Exactly.
Oh no, of course.
Going into that fight, everybody said that Eubank's chin is one of the best in the business.
But you didn't think Eubank was going to win.
No. I'm just saying what the narrative was, not what I said. Everybody said Eubank's chin, he's the bigger, stronger man, he's going to win the fight. Nobody that I saw anyway was picking Liam Smith to stop Eubank. Absolutely nobody. And look, it happened.
I thought Smith would win on points. I didn't think.
Yeah, I thought.
I didn't think he'd stop him.
I was very convinced that Smith would beat him because I just regarded Smith as a better all-round fighter. And I'd also said to Shane and 1 or 2 other people that I'd spoken to prior to the fight that Eubank to me had been tailing off for some time. I was like, the last time I seen Eubank look good in a fight, you got to go back to when he fought James De Gea, which was about 5 years
And James
ago.
De Gea was past it.
But also Eubank is similar to what we're saying about Yarde, where his main strengths are athleticism, power, whatever. Since he's been with Roy Jones, he's trying to fight. He's trying to fight more of a defensive style since he's been with Roy Jones, which he's not technical enough to play that type of to do that kind of fight.
But the point I'm trying to make, Nick, and you are right in everything you said there, is last week I didn't hear, and I listened to all the experts talking.
Yeah,
I never heard one of them say that Liam Smith is going to knock out Eubank.
Yeah.
Total shock. So what I'm saying is, and this is my point, we know that Yarde, regardless of what you want to say about his skills and his lack of experience, so forth, the one thing that pretty much all of us can agree on is that Yarde is a puncher. He can punch. We've seen it.
Yeah.
23 fights, 21 wins. If he hits you, he's hurt. He's hurt everyone he's fought,
that's a
including
fact.
Kovalev.
There's another thing that I think works in Yarde's favour also is I actually think Yarde is probably physically stronger than Beterbiev as well.
Depends how you measure strength.
In terms of, I think in clinches, because a few times I've seen this and I've watched every Beterbiev fight. A few times I've seen it, especially in the Voldzic fight. A few times in clinches, there's a few times where I think if I'm Yarde, I'm looking to try and use my size and just my natural strength and force him back against the ropes.
Yeah.
The reason why I would do that is just because if you can impose yourself in any way possible, you just have to do that. And I think that's one way. When you're on a clinch, just get him against the ropes. What you can't do, though, is let Beterbiev's hand get free, because this is one thing you know is Beterbiev generates power from close distance really well. So if you're going to tie
heavy-handed.
up, you have to tie him up all the way, have all his hands clinched, and then get him to the back, get his back.
And the thing is, I don't want to make a fool of myself, but everything that we're saying about Yarde that could potentially be a strength, we then turn around and go, this could potentially be a weakness because he doesn't have a great tank. So if he goes through the center of the ring and tries to walk him down and really get into one of these clinches and then the tank's empty, and then just as they're coming out of the clinch he starts to get battered, it could be a real problem, because he just doesn't have the energy.
He doesn't. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not a betting man, but I think the one thing I probably would bet money on is that regardless of who wins,
it's a knockout.
This fight is not going the distance.
Yeah, we should definitely see a knockout.
I think we're definitely going to be over before 12 rounds.
Oh, 100%. And I think if it goes past 7, Yard's in serious trouble.
A couple of people in the chat saying, "Power, Eubank, are you sure?" Listen, I've never thought he was a power puncher. I've never said he's a power puncher, but a lot of pundits out there, a lot of people talk about Eubank like he throws really hard bangs, and I tell them all the time he couldn't even knock out George Groves when George Groves had one arm.
Yeah,
but George Groves beat him.
That's what I'm saying. George Groves had his arm out of his socket for the last round or two of that fight, and Eubank still couldn't knock him out.
If people really study Eubank, he's never been what I call a big puncher.
He lives off that Yildirim knockout.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
Even when he was getting guys out of there, predominantly
just overwhelming with
volume.
work rate. Yeah, overwhelming with work rate.
The Yildirim one was a classic one-punch knockout, but I'm struggling to think of too many more like that.
Yeah,
he's tended to overwhelm. And decent puncher, but not.
He's not pillow fisted.
Yeah.
What do you reckon in the rematch, Eubank Smith rematch?
I'm not sure if there will be a rematch.
I don't even think there's going to be a rematch.
You know,
Chisora and Fury.
Tyson Fury, yeah.
Chisora's my guy. And
talking of Fury, let's talk about it. Let's digress slightly. Please. Because over the weekend there's been an announcement that I've got a lot of people talking. Must admit, I'm interested in it. I'll be interested to hear what you guys say. Let's start with you, Nick.
So you're interested in it?
Yeah, I'm interested. And I'll explain why in a bit. But I'm putting it to you, bro. I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay.
A bit. Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul, February the 25th.
Yep.
First, what do you think of that fight? And secondly, who's going to win?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful for Tommy Fury. I'm conscious he's a young guy.
But,
Tommy Fury's a young guy. He's living the dream. You know, he's talking about maximizing someone's career. This is someone of limited talent maximizing their career. I think Jake Paul will probably Jake Paul. Which one? Jake Paul. Yeah.
Jake Paul. Yeah.
Them are twins. I get them mixed up. But yeah, I think Jake Paul should see him out. And I think this conversation we had last time. What does it mean to be a professional boxer? What does it mean to be a real boxer, quote unquote? You know, if he loses this fight, you know, it's got to be boxing and social media, really. Which his career is 90% social media anyway. But I think he's got to knock the professional boxer tag off of his.
Maybe even I might have to knock off the Fury tag as well, because what did they say? If he loses, he can't come back.
So Shane, those questions to you. Well, what do you think of the fight and who's going to win?
I'm only saying who I think is going to win based on what I've told.
Now, what do you think of the fight, though? Like,
I think it's a good fight. I
looking forward to it. Yeah.
I give credit to Jake Paul for even taking this fight, because he's actually taken on a.
You say credit to Jake Paul for taking it. I think he's been proactive in getting the
chasing
fight on.
Down,
of course.
So if anything, it's Tommy Fury that's taken the fight.
And I actually think Jake Paul's going to win. And I'm going on based on the things that I've heard of Jake Paul. He sparred.
No, I'm not asking you what you heard. What have you seen? Based on what you've seen so far.
I don't think I've seen anything.
Let's face it, it's very limited.
I was about to say, I don't think I've seen anything from either fighter that makes me sway either way. And to be fair, even though Jake Paul has been fighting not real boxers, there hasn't been a massive skill level difference between what I've seen. In fact, I've actually seen, every time I've seen Tommy Fury, it's actually been rather embarrassing. Because, you know, they match him up to look good, and he just doesn't look good. Like, they give him the best.
Yeah.
Best opponent for him to look good. It's a bit like the first, Ricky Hatton's son, Campbell Hatton, when he had his first fight. And I'm like, this guy is just not looking he's looked better recently, but his first fight was horrible.
Although we did say that about Conor Benn, and then look what the run he had. So
I can't see.
And then look how that run come to an end. So,
but Conor Benn,
we don't know yet.
But Conor Benn, one thing I will say is he actually dedicated himself to boxing. I don't see that in Tommy Fury.
Yeah.
Like, how many gyms do you see Tommy Fury in? Jake Paul dedicates himself to boxing.
It's the old silk shit. This is the only thing. I'm not a big fan of the YouTube boxing. I'm starting to get more into it to cover it here on DR Sports. But the thing I'll give KSI and Jake Paul and some of these guys real credit for, and I appreciate it's not elite level competitors, but the old silk sheets analogy, these guys came into boxing, which is extraordinarily rare. They came into boxing with money. So everything that they've done and every bit of training is purely to go, and it's to make money, obviously, but it is for some level of love of boxing, for some commitment. They could probably make as much money, if not more, off of drinks and reality TV shows and all the rest of it, but they really, really want to push themselves for this. We very rarely see people come into boxing. You know, it's a bit of a poor man's sport. You come in poor and you leave rich if things go well. Not that many people come in with money. And so with Tommy Fury, you know, with the lifestyle that he lives, the money he makes, social media presence, how much desire does he really have? It's a bit of a younger sibling thing as well. I know my little brother does not have the same drive and desire that I I have, because he's come from different circumstances to me. So how much, can Tommy Fury really dig deep and push himself when he's living in the life circumstances that he is?
It is different with this situation, though, because I do think on a case-by-case basis, I would agree. But because he has so much at stake in this fight, like he will take a social media battering if he loses to Jake Paul.
And because he's such a social media guy, he can't even delete it. He's not like me and you that could just delete it for a couple of weeks. He can't. He's got to be there and face it.
If I'm Tommy Fury, even if you win but you don't knock him out, that's still not a win, because you're supposed to be levels above this dude.
And your brother's the world champion.
That's my point.
While we're waiting here for the main event, one of the undercard fights, we spoke about him before, the prospect Tommy Fletcher. He's just won on points. I think he pretty much won every round.
It wasn't much of a competition, to be honest.
No, I mean, he enjoyed, let's face it, significant advantages in terms of height, reach, weight, strength, youth. So it was absolutely predictable. But he's got another win on his record. He's going down that route that a lot of prospects do.
Can I say,
carefully selected journeyman?
Can I say this as well? I've seen a steady regression in undercards in BT Sports. And I like BT Sports. Like BT Sports, I've actually been to a few of their shows, so I have to give them credit. But their undercards have slowly regressed ever so often. To me, it's just last week we had such a good undercard. Richard Riakporhe was on the other undercard. Echo was on the undercard. We had a really good undercard last week. Who else was on the undercard last week as well?
We had the Echo Usman versus
Chris Congo. Gravatsky versus Richard Riakporhe. There was another good fight on it. I can't remember, but there was a really good undercard, and I just feel like
Joseph Parker versus
Macy. That was on the undercard as well. And you look at this. It's just
I have to say that the undercard for this particular fight is not stellar. I think the person I'm most looking forward to seeing is the guy we spoke about earlier. His brother, KAROL Itauma, lost. He's a prospect, by the way, but he lost. But his brother Moses, outstanding amateur. I think he pretty much won everything he entered as an amateur, including European and World Junior Champion. And he makes his professional debut tonight.
I will say as well,
he's been touted as like the co-main event, really, isn't
he? Is the co-main event.
Yeah.
Go on.
I will say, from a commercial perspective, when the fight is as big as this fight, world title on the line, undefeated boxer, etc., it's going to be a weaker card because of the fact that they're hoping that the main event can carry it. Whereas last week, if it's not a world title fight, the two guys coming towards the end of their career, etc., they need a strong undercard.
And last week was a box office as well.
Right, so they need a stronger undercard to push it. And again, like you said, box office as well. So that's what's going to happen. You'll see a lot of those really big fights having a poor undercard.
Promoted with Top Rank. I would have loved to see a Top Rank fighter in the card, though. Any Top Rank fighter. I'd have loved to see.
They have a finite budget, and I think probably the amount of money it probably took them to get
Beterbiev to come over
and defend his title.
Yeah.
That probably swallowed up most of the budget. And I would imagine this man we're looking at here, as he gets bandaged up, Anthony Yarde, he's probably on a decent weight as well.
You reckon the cuts, he could exploit the cut that Beterbiev had against Brown?
Yeah. Listen,
those who didn't see that cut, it is a massive gash he had in the middle of his forehead against Marcus Brown.
We're looking at KAROL Itauma warming up as I was
Moses.
just been bigging him. Sorry, Moses Itauma. His brother lost. Now, Shane, do you think that will have any effect on him as he
it won't, psychologically? It won't. It would under normal circumstances, but because of the level of opponent he's fighting today, we ain't really going to see much. If anything, he's going to be more switched on because his brother fought a journeyman and he got knocked out. So he's going to feel a little bit of pressure, but the dude who he's fighting, let's just be honest.
Because I say that because I remember a few years back I was watching a show over in America.
Charlo Brothers.
The Charlo Brothers.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Jamel Charlo
lost to Harrison.
He lost to Harrison, and then his brother Jamal Charlo fought afterwards. He won the fight, but he wasn't very impressive. And in his post-fight interview,
Korobov, wasn't it?
He said that seeing his brother lose had affected him. And listen, we can all say he should be more professional and blah, but we're all human beings. So if you've watched your brother, especially
twins,
KAROL Itauma got knocked out, he didn't just get beaten. I'm sure that he would have seen that and thought, gosh, because we all did, you know what I mean? It was a shock. So, but anyway, we were talking about the
Jake Paul.
Tommy Fury Jake Paul fight, which has been confirmed for, it's a Sunday, February the 25th. It is a big fight, even though the two guys are not what we would call top of boxing by any means. But
will that have a pro undercard, or will that have a YouTube undercard, or will it have some sort of mixture?
That's a good question. I think there'll probably be a bit of both.
It'll be a bit of both.
Yeah,
it'll be a bit of both.
But it will be a massive night, though.
Yeah, I think so. I think a mix is probably what I would prefer to see.
Who's the promotion? Is it Queensbury?
Jake Paul will be
the main promoter.
I think it's a joint promotion, but I think Jake Paul, his promotional company, will probably be one of the major promoters for that show.
I mean,
listen, it is a big fight, and it will create a lot of interest. I'm interested in it, I've got to say. I'm kind of with you two. To me, based on what I've seen of the two fighters, none of them have over-impressed me. But I think the one thing that we can all agree is that Jake Paul does have power, and I don't think Tommy Fury's boxing skills are such that he won't get caught. And I think that power might be the determining factor.
No.
So I'm going to say that my early prediction would be leaning towards Jake Paul, but I've not really been that impressed with Jake Paul, apart from the fact that he's knocked guys out or knocked them down. His boxing skills to me are not that good.
That's true, but power is something that's very, as they say, you can't teach it. You can't teach power.
Especially against fighters that are less technical, like Tommy Fury. If he was fighting someone that was a bit more technical, that could move well.
I disagree with that as well. I think you can teach power. I think there's a lot of technique in. You've got your natural punches,
natural
people
power.
who, you know what I mean, seemingly they can just tap you and you're over. Those guys are blessed with extraordinary power. But you can, there's no doubt about it, you can improve your power.
But going into the fight, the X factor is with Jake Paul, because I don't know one attribute that Tommy Fury has that actually works in his favour.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of Tommy Fury's fights, and I have to admit, man, I mean, for a start, the opponents have been woeful. And even some of them that have been woeful, they've taken him the distance and he's looked pretty awful.
But
one thing I've noticed about Tommy Fury as well is that he tries to overwhelm his opponents.
What?
And when that doesn't work for him,
nothing left.
Yeah, there's no plan B.
What weight class is this at?
I think they got cruiserweights.
So if it's cruiserweight, I was actually saying this to someone the other day. I actually think with the right matchmaking, I think Jake Paul could fight for a version of a world title.
That's in the future. Let's talk about this fight first. Nick, so expand on your viewpoint. You think Jake Paul, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I just think, like, the same thing that you guys have said, Tommy Fury just hasn't shown much of anything. I couldn't really list his strengths. You know, his core strengths are probably his dad's experience and his brother's experience, which you can't take into the ring with him. You know, so for me, obviously, I still look at this kind of as YouTube boxing. It's sort of on that cusp. I don't know if I'm excited about it as a professional boxing. I think it's more of a social media fight.
I'm looking forward to the build-up.
Yeah, same. I think it'll be entertaining as the overall thing. But yeah, I just look at these two guys and think.
When was the last time Tommy Fury had a fight? Because obviously that inactivity could also have an effect as well.
That's a good point.
Because I think Jake Paul at least fought Anderson Silva. So obviously he would have fought more recently. I don't even know, would he ever fought at a higher level?
Well, it's definitely a high level opponent, but maybe not in boxing specifically, because you know Anderson's got obviously huge experience, but not a boxer.
No, but I still think though, if we're being honest, Anderson Silva fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Yeah.
Even though you know everything about that dude, but he's actually fought a pro boxer.
Yeah. Whereas, I think we have to. What was Anderson Silva? 40 what?
Yeah, but who's 47? Who has Tommy Fury fought though? I can't even name it.
Let's be honest. None of them have fought anyone even remotely good, have they? Let's be honest. I mean, look at Jake Paul's. All of them have been like ex-MMA guys. There's no one there that.
I think Anderson Silva is probably the best name in terms of actual ability.
But we're talking about a 47-year-old Anderson Silva that is an MMA
unfortunate.
fighter.
It's a bit unfortunate.
So I think the records kind of go out the window, really. None of them have fought anyone remotely good. As I talk, people, the co-main event, I wouldn't say it's co-main event, but
It is
one of the
co-main event because there's no other fight after this.
Okay. But I wouldn't say it's a co-main event because the world title fight is clearly the main event. But
Yeah.
this is like the best fight on the undercard.
Yeah.
Penultimate fight.
The one that most people are looking forward to.
And obviously, it's somebody that you want to see. He's a big up and comer.
Yeah, the professional debut of Moses Itauma.
I mean-
Southpaw, big puncher, we're told.
So he's a heavyweight.
Yeah, he's a heavyweight.
yeah.
He's a heavyweight as well.
Southpaw heavyweight.
Oh,
Interesting. Two punches and his
second
opponent
punch.
is down.
And that guy's not getting up. Look at his
He
leg.
doesn't like it.
He's not getting
The
up.
thing is, I think
He's
that,
absolutely no.
yeah, I mean, he doesn't want to get up, does he? It's
Bro,
done.
this-
Mind you, there's a massive bruise underneath his right eye.
This
left
is
eye.
25 seconds.
Not sure how he's managed to pull that off with that terrible pad
25
work we saw
seconds. He didn't
backstage,
even
but
care.
There you go. Obviously, the thing is with punches like that, when you get hit that hard, and especially for someone like his opponent, who we don't think's not an elite fighter, he just doesn't really want to get up. Do you know what I mean? Even if he was able to, he would get up with so much fear of getting hit again. Do you know what I mean?
But
so mentally, he would be
You
done.
know what? If I'm Queensbury and I'm being dead honest, I'm getting this guy fighting 6 times this year. Minimum 6
If he
times.
fights opponents like that, he could fight 12 times.
He might, because let's be honest, like
That's what.
he's gonna have a few journeymen. I can even come. There's some dudes who you can put him in the ring with right now who's not even considered a journeyman. He would probably beat. You would give him
I
some
think
real
he
good
rocked
test.
him with the first punch he threw.
Yeah. It was literally the first punch, well, the first left hand.
Yeah. Here we
Just
go.
watching that replay again.
There.
Bang.
Yeah.
First left hand, he goes down a bit, saved by the
That
ropes.
second one,
Yeah.
That was a
not
bit.
sure if that landed fully.
But that's what I'm saying. Once he felt the first one, he
I
did
threw
not.
the gloves as well.
He
that
did
throw.
not want to feel the second one.
That was on the gloves.
That
was right on the gloves.
That dude was just.
To be
just
fair,
didn't want
to
The
be
way
fair,
he
the-
went down, I mean, he didn't even land clearly, did he?
Well, the first one he was going down, but he was saved by the ropes. If the ropes aren't there, he goes straight down.
So I actually want to bring this up because you brought it up, and I think it's an amazing topic. You said you think he can break Tyson's record.
Well, what I would say is this. In boxing, as we all know, there are
Matchmaking.
so many belts, so many different organizations that it's not inconceivable that if they match him right, he could break the record. That doesn't mean to say, though, that he's going to be as good as Tyson or anywhere near as good as Tyson. It's just a fact that there are so many different belts to be fought for that it's not inconceivable that if they match him right and look after him, that he could do it.
Did this dude fight with a necklace on?
I didn't see
I
that.
didn't
He's
see
got
it,
a necklace on
yeah,
right now.
mate, unless you just put it
No,
on.
they
I
must
don't
have put that on after. You're not allowed to fight.
know.
Of course not. But
yeah, I mean, one of my just to your point, one of my big criticisms of Queensbury is that their fighters are just not very active.
that's
and obviously-
boxing, though.
No, I appreciate that's boxing in the modern era, but I think when you're a young prospect, you have to look, when you're looking at signing with someone, you've got to look at who they've got in your weight class that you could possibly get matched up with and try and move through that ladder. So if obviously they have a close relationship with Tyson Fury, but outside of that, we'll have to see where the belts go because that's what you're gambling on your career. Does that make sense? So even if you're the best possible heavyweight, if Matchroom have all the belts, you're going to really struggle to go and get a belt.
We've seen that with Terence Crawford because PBC had all of the top
Yep.
fighters. So
Let's look what some of the comments are saying.
And that last fight that's just finished for anyone watching is
After a few seconds.
After a few seconds, yeah. So
25
we're just waiting for the main event now. The main event is up next because a few people are asking that.
Pope Roman says Jake Paul would smash KSI, but we're not really talking KSI right now. We're talking Tommy Fury. Silva has a decent level of boxing ability. Yeah, he did, but then you also have to take into account that Anderson
40.
Silva was in his late 40s. We've got a super chat here from Leon Mitchell. He says, big up for bringing Shane on again. My man knows his stuff. Yes, he certainly does. But listen,
you for
man, Nick
having
knows his stuff as well.
Yeah, of
and so do
course.
I, man. Listen, man, show us some love too, man.
He's a fan of Shane, innit? That's calm, bro. No problem. Do you know what I'm saying?
But yeah, Shane does know his stuff. He doesn't always get it right, though. but
no,
he
I
does
don't.
know
I
his
got it
stuff.
wrong last week. I thought Eubank was gonna win. He let me down. And I'll be honest. Laurie always told me that from the fight was first announced. Laurie said Eubank's losing. So
I said it, bro. I mean, listen, sport, no matter what the sport is, you have to master the fundamentals. You have to be good at the basics. And over and above a certain level, if you haven't mastered those, you're not going to get away with it
no,
forever.
that's a fact.
And I've just seen Eubank over the years, man, and I've just seen a fighter that's regressing. And I'd go as far as to say this as well. A lot of people have indicated that although he looks in fantastic shape, he's not as dedicated to boxing as some of us might believe.
No, that's a fact.
I mean, now he's out there playing poker and living that celebrity life. Is he in the gym learning his craft?
Exactly.
Apparently not.
I want to
from what
bring
I'm
it
hearing.
back to Moses for a second, yeah? A fight in 5 years, maybe a little bit less, hopefully. Moses versus Big Baby Anderson. That's a fight I would love to see. If they both reach their peak, I would love to see that fight. You know, because that's two...
Although Jared Anderson now has been a pro now for 2 or 3 years now. So
no, of course.
he's ahead of the
No,
curve.
he's much ahead,
Yeah.
but it's just because they both came into the pro game with such great reputations. Yeah. I mean, I think Jared Anderson was like 3-time Golden Glove champion in America, and obviously he didn't. I don't even think he went to the Olympics, similar to Moses. He just turned pro, and both very skilled. It would just be lovely to see them actually continue their progression, and hopefully they meet one day. You know.
Just thinking of the other heavyweights they've got in their stable, Queensbury. They have Joe Joyce.
Yeah.
They also have Daniel Dubois.
And David Adelaide as well.
And David Adelaide, but they've got Daniel Dubois, who's another young power punching, somebody that would want a world title shot. Obviously, he's suffered and tasted defeat as well, but he could easily slip into that.
He's mandatory right
now. So that could be what we see down the line. If he can go and get himself a world title at some point and win a mandatory, that's who maybe Itauma could be fighting in a couple of years' time.
I mean, in the heavyweight division, Frank Warren's positioned his fighters in really good places.
Yeah.
He overpaid for Trevor Bryan, which got Daniel Dubois mandatory, and I don't think Daniel Dubois has been paid by Don King. Yeah, but
I think he has been paid.
He got paid,
now.
he got paid. That's fantastic. Good to hear. And then obviously Joe Joyce mandatory with the WBO.
Yeah.
And so obviously if Fury and Usyk do fight, when those belts become vacant, those two Queensbury fighters in line straight away. And I don't even think he's going to rush to put them in there with anyone that great. He's just going to keep them up until the right fight comes.
Yeah.
Another fight that we're hearing about, I expect there to be an announcement soon, is the return of Anthony Joshua.
Jermaine
we're
Franklin.
hearing that he's going to be fighting Jermaine Franklin in April the 1st, April Fool's Day is a date that's been muted. Start with Nick. Anthony Joshua, he needs to get back in the ring with a win, doesn't he? He's had the back-to-back losses.
Yeah, and especially if he's taken a step down in terms of level of opponent, this is really a career-saving fight for him. I mean, if he starts to walk...
It's a crossroads fight.
It's a difficult one. When you come in at such a high level, you win titles almost too early and you're at that level, especially from a commercial perspective, because he's one of the biggest commercial entities in boxing for the last decade or so. If he starts to go downwards and he hasn't got the belts now, he's not going to be able to generate the same level of money for lower level opponents.
You said that he almost became champion too early. Are you referring to, a bit like what we were saying with Yarde, although Yarde hasn't won a world title, obviously, but he got a world title shot early, didn't he, AJ?
Yeah, he got a world title shot very early. So he for the majority of his boxing career, he's been a world champion. Yeah. That's what sold Anthony Joshua. He relied on that as his sales, and he's huge. How much money would it take to get Anthony Joshua out of bed if he slips, if he doesn't win his next fight, and he starts going down the pecking order of fighters? He's not going to stay there and be a Derek Chisora benchmark journeyman fighter, because the money's not going to be there.
What do you think of the opponent, Jermaine Franklin? Because we saw him in the last fight against Dillian. I watched that from my hospital bed. I was in hospital at that time having an operation. But I'm going to say straight up, man, I thought Jermaine Franklin should have beaten Dillian that night.
I think
he got
so.
it on points.
I think so.
I think it's a decent opponent for
sure
AJ. I'll come to you in a minute. I think it's a decent opponent for AJ, though, right?
Yeah, I think obviously what's really good is that we know that he's going in with somebody that can go the distance. We know that AJ's wasn't a knockout.
Do you think AJ can get him out of there?
That's what I'm saying. We know that he's going in with someone in Franklin who is fit enough to go the distance, because we've seen him go the distance previously. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on AJ to try and get him out of there, because AJ does not have a good tank. Doesn't have a huge amount of... But it's true, AJ's not a 12-round fighter. 10, 11, 12 are very laboured rounds for Anthony Joshua. He's too old now to be changing his style. So he's going to have to come out and put on a real show and try and get his man out of there, because Jermaine Franklin will be fighting in those late rounds. 10, 11, 12, Franklin will still be fighting, and AJ will be massively on the decline if it goes that late while AJ's declining.
You're talking about his style, and I'm going to come to you in a minute, Shane. Don't worry. We know that AJ's hooked up with a new trainer. For this fight, he's going to be trained by Derek James. Now, Derek James, as many out there may know, he trains Errol Spence and Jamel Charlo.
Yeah.
And he's known for being an aggressive trainer. By that I mean that he trains his fighters to be aggressive, big punchers. AJ's a big puncher. So I think AJ will be looking for the stoppage in this fight. Do you think he can get it?
It's obviously he can get it. He's won world titles from knocking people out. He's more than capable. But this change of trainer coming so late in his career, and it's all about how much AJ's willing to learn and soak in from these people. One of the big criticisms I had from AJ a couple of years ago is his team was huge. There were way too many people in the camp. Boxing is a very, very simple sport. You don't need a camp of this many people. It was more like a rap entourage. Do you know what I mean? These men coming in like looking at the Wu-Tang Clan. It was unnecessary to see 20 people in this camp. It was ridiculous.
Although a lot of, if you go down the years, a lot of fighters have had big entourages.
And how often is every single person in that entourage necessary? It's not necessary. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying it's not uncommon for top fighters to have big entourages.
Yeah, so for me, I think he has to. It's good that he's making that change from a stylistic perspective because he does have to come out and try and knock Franklin out. But if he can't get him out in the first 5 or 6 rounds, then it becomes scary hours. Because if when AJ's not damaging people, he's not winning rounds. Do you know what I mean? He tends to lose rounds when he's not very active. He's not a very active fighter. And against someone who's medium levels of active like Franklin, he'll have to. I don't see him winning rounds. If it goes late, it's going to be a problem for him. But, best of luck to him. Let's see.
Absolutely. Shane, coming on to you, my man. So we're hearing that it's not been officially announced yet, but the common consensus is that AJ will be coming back to the ring in April, and his opponent is very likely to be Jermaine Franklin. Now, you saw Jermaine Franklin against Dylan. What did you think of Jermaine Franklin?
I thought Jermaine Franklin. I've seen Jermaine Franklin fight for a while, so that wasn't the first time I actually seen him fight. But in the Dylan White fight, I thought he fought really good.
Do you think that Dylan won, or
the reason why I thought Dylan won the fight, and
it's because you like Dylan?
No, it's not even because of that. I actually think, if you watch that last round, there is no one who can convince me, even though the ref didn't give it, there's no one who can't convince me that isn't a knockdown.
It was a close fight.
It's a knockdown. He gets hit, the ropes keep you up. Anyone who knows the rules of boxing, that's a knockdown. That's a knockdown. So
a lot of refs don't give that though. Like in the Itauma fight we just saw, the ropes kept him up and the ref didn't. The ref waited him to go down.
I can also give you examples where the ref has kept, the ropes have kept someone up and the ref has given the knockdown.
Yeah.
I can give you more.
But in this particular fight, he wasn't given a 10-8 round.
He wasn't, and that's why when I first watched it, I said it was a draw. But I didn't think. I thought, especially near the back end, Jermaine Franklin left the window open for Dylan White to steal those last rounds, because the first 6 rounds, Jermaine Franklin built up such a big lead, he just took his foot off the gas. But
did he take his foot off the gas, or was Dylan wearing him down? Because don't forget, Dylan's a lot bigger and stronger.
Yeah, maybe.
Hits harder, so that may have accounted for it as well.
Bringing it back to, because I do think you brought up a good point about Derek James. Now, this is the thing. Do I think Derek James is a good appointment? No, I don't.
You don't?
No, because
you're the first person I've heard that said that.
People,
Derek James just got Trainer of the Year.
Derek James is an amazing
He's not saying
trainer.
he's not a good trainer,
Let me tell you why. Look at the fighters who Derek James trains. Jamel Charlo and Errol Spence are extremely durable fighters.
And technical.
Technical, but...
Got to throw Frank Martin in there as well.
Yeah, I know, but obviously the ones who have actually won a world title and fought at elite level. Look at the gas tank of Errol Spence and the punch resilience of Errol Spence and Charlo. Those dudes have really good... If you look... That's something you can't coach. You can't coach someone to have a really good chin. Those dudes who have a really good chin. So whilst they're aggressive and they have the ability to be on the front foot, get a dude behind the jab and land really good power punches, there's also attributes that they have that Anthony Joshua does not have. In fact, they're weaknesses for him. So it's actually going to be very difficult. I think he's going to improve his foot placement. I think he's going to improve his foot movement, just his general foot movement, his ability to keep a dude at the end of a jab. I think he's going to improve that. But overall, it's very difficult.
You think it's not quite a match?
Not quite. And plus, Derrick James coaching heavyweights, and and you will know this, Laurie, coaching heavyweights is different to coaching any other weight class. It's not the same. He hasn't coached a heavyweight. That's another thing. But bringing it into this fight, I don't think he's brought in Derrick James for this fight. I thought he's brought into Derrick James just as a career.
AS45, he says, are we going to listen to Laurie cap all night for Yarde?
Have you been capping for Yarde?
No, not at all.
He's just trying to be objective.
I'm trying to be, listen man, if you put me on the spot and ask me to put my last pound in it, obviously I'm going to say Beterbiev because he's the man with the, as we say that, we've got Tommy Fury in the ring, he's just taken off his top. And this is a good moment. Tommy Fury's in the ring. And I think, is Jake Paul in the house? He must be. Because if he's taking his top off like that.
I don't know. I haven't seen him. And the cameras definitely would have picked him up.
They're making an announcement in the ring. Yeah, Jake Paul's in the house, people. I told you this would get interesting. They're going to go head-to-head for the first time in the ring.
They've got a full ring walk in her.
This could get a bit spicy, man. You know what I mean? I hope the security are on point.
This is entertaining.
So,
it's like WWE right now.
Forgive us, people. We'll just talk you through this. We've got Tommy Fury's in the ring. They've announced in the fight. Tommy Fury's already taken his shirt off as if he's ready for smoke right now.
He always does that. It's such
Jake
a
Paul
Fury
is on
thing.
his way to the ring.
Jake Paul in the Prada.
Yeah.
He's clean though.
Yeah, he does look clean. He looks little.
Come face to face. Tommy Fury looks very intense. The heads going together. Hope the security are on point.
I actually thought there was a height advantage.
Oh, there's a slap gone in there.
This
is like WWE.
I thought there was a height advantage for Tommy Fury.
I thought so as well, but when they're face to face, I think
unless he's wearing
Jake Paul's wearing some platforms, bruv. That's what it is.
I thought Tommy Fury had a height advantage.
Derek is always in there loving it. Absolutely loving it.
Tommy Fury looks very intense. He looks in good shape, I've got to say, man.
He's always in good shape, though.
He's always been in good shape. He's got that Instagram build, innit?
He's doing the Fury point. All Furies talk and point like that. That's the Fury trademark.
I'm surprised the dad isn't there. Big John.
I would have all kicked off if his dad was there.
Tommy Fury's there and he's hyping up the crowd. He's just been interviewed. They're bringing Jake Paul now for his interview. Jake Paul doesn't seem bothered though. He looks quite relaxed and calm as he always tends to do. This is a man who's no stranger to publicity. He knows how to handle himself in these moments. He's been interviewed in the ring. Obviously, we're not hearing what he's saying.
6-0.
With 4 stoppages. And Fury's 8-0 with 4 stoppages. He's got a better stoppage percentage. Obviously, I know.
Who took him the distance? Woodley.
Tyron Woodley. Yeah.
Who else?
No, I'm not sure.
The thing is, Tommy Fury's he's doing a lot of talking, but I just don't find him believable. There's a certain believability that comes with some people, boxers. You get it with rappers. I just feel like he's more talking to himself than trying to
convince.
Yeah, he's trying to convince himself. Then
I don't think he's going to phase Jake Paul. Jake Paul.
No.
I don't think they're going to phase each other. Yeah. Well, I think they.
No, I think Jake Paul can get under Tommy Fury's skin.
Yeah,
depending on how classy and how non-classy he wants to be. If he really wants to, because Jake Paul's lived so much of his life in the limelight. He's so famous.
Tommy Fury's sheltered.
He's an actor as well.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So I think if Jake Paul starts saying things about his missus and going personal with his brother and all types of stuff, I think Jake Paul will be, and Jake has a special ability to wind people up. He's very, very good at winding people. I think Jake Paul will be able to wind him up. Not necessarily here, but when we get to press conferences and stuff like that, I think Tommy will be more rattled than Jake Paul.
And not only that, Shane alluded to it earlier, but Tommy Fury has been put under pressure by a member of his own family.
Correct.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. That's stupid from their part because someone like Jake Paul will jump on that and he'll run with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he has already, to be fair.
You think they could turn this into like a little trilogy? You know?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I mean, if the first fight, when they fight, if it's close, definitely, because the amount of money this is going to generate, man.
Get Logan against Huey on the undercard.
Who?
Logan against Huey.
I don't.
Oh, really?
You know what? I don't think that Fury family is actually close to the other Fury family anymore.
It's true. No, they're not. No, they're not.
You know,
Certainly John and Peter. John and Peter.
They've obviously had a falling out.
Yeah.
They've obviously had a falling out.
There was a question in the chat: Yarde versus Buatsi.
I've always thought Yarde will beat Buatsi.
You think so?
I've always thought Yarde will beat Buatsi. I've always thought that.
Yeah. I mean, Yarde's fought at a high level. I think Yarde's more of an athlete, and I think Buatsi's a better technical boxer person at this particular moment.
I actually disagree.
You think Yarde's more technical than Buatsi?
I think neither of them are that technical.
No, but you have to pick. There has to be one that's more technical than the other.
Buatsi's more technical. I mean, you're talking about an Olympic bronze medalist.
Look at.
You're talking about an Olympic
Wait.
bronze medalist.
Look at how he fought, and I saw so many holes. And Craig Richards is a really good fighter, but I saw so many holes in Buatsi on that night. Many holes.
But
you just said
who do you think
Craig
is?
Richards is a really good fighter?
Who do you think is more technical, though? Just simple question. If you had to pick one for technical ability.
Yeah, you gotta go with Buatsi.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you gotta go with Buatsi. But I think Buatsi's biggest advantage, though, is actually his mentality.
I agree with you.
I think
that's what I was
Buatsi,
going to say.
When he's in the ring, and why he even won the Craig Richards fight was when it got tough, he had that by any means necessary mentality. Whereas I think if you watch that first Arthur fight, it took a while before Yarde flicked the switch.
Yeah.
And you don't have that time against Buatsi. But then if you remember when Buatsi fought Bolotniks as well, those first early rounds against Bolotniks as well, it took a while before he actually...
I'll tell you one thing I've
noticed about Buatsi, and I do like him. I think he's a very good fighter. As I said, an Olympic bronze medalist. I think when he won that Olympic bronze as well, if my memory serves me right, he put the favourite out. And he didn't just put him out of the tournament, he knocked him out. That was a hell of a win. And the fight he lost, it was disputed. Some people say he won the fight. But anyway, Olympic bronze medalist, turned pro. Got to be honest, he's not sort of had the breakout fight he would have had so far.
Agreed.
He needs a big fight.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I have noticed about Buatsi is he seems to be pretty hittable. Now, if you're hittable and you're fighting Anthony Yarde, that, you know what I mean, that could be dangerous.
That's why, if you remember a few years ago, Buatsi was #1 contender for Beterbiev. And then all of a sudden, he went down the WBA route.
Yeah. Eddie Hearn was not putting him in with Beterbiev at that point. No way.
This is the thing that I have. And I think you understand it more than anyone, Laurie, the importance to matchmake.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like with Buatsi...
We're looking at Tommy Fury here. Look at the
footwork.
Yeah, it's horrendous. But
he's got such a short body, hasn't he? He's got a very short body. He's got a very, very short body.
But you know, sometimes that can work to your advantage.
Yeah, because it's a small target to hit. He's got such a small body and very, very long legs.
I have to say as well, look how low his hands are. He looks quite open.
But, Laurie, I don't think they've matchmade for Buatsi that good either in terms of getting him the opportunities that he should have had. Because I would have loved to see him in there with, a lot more domestic. Obviously, they got the Craig Richards fight for him, but I would have loved to see him fight more domestic fighters on the way up.
You say that about Craig Richards, right?
Yeah.
But Craig Richards went in against Dmitry Bivol,
and
he did very well.
He's the best opponent.
In fact, Craig Richards and his team, I remember after that fight, they were putting their hands up thinking they'd won the fight.
I mean, they done better than Canelo.
Yeah. So you say, you picking holes in Buatsi, saying he didn't look good against Craig Richards, but neither did Dmitry Bivol.
No, you're right.
Could it be that Craig Richards is a very good opponent?
I know you're 100% right. And to me, I actually thought that was a really good fight for Buatsi, but I don't think there's been enough of those learning fights.
It's that awkward middle ground again. It's that matchmaking thing that we said before about, how do we step up from national level, European level, world level? How do we find those in between people?
We could have easily seen before Buatsi fights, let's say, a Bivol. You can see him fight Azerdo Ramirez. I mean, that would be a good gap between because they're both on the zone. I could see that fight. Maybe Callum Smith. You could see that fight also.
Callum Smith is another light heavyweight.
Does Callum Smith take that fight is the question.
Well, Callum Smith is apparently he's looking at the winner of tonight's fight.
Yeah, I heard.
That's what I'm saying. So that's the issue, because those guys are. We're looking at Buatsi and Yarde looking at world title fights, but because the guys like Callum Smith and maybe Ramirez, they're looking at world title fights too. They don't want to be fighting Buatsi.
But I would have loved to see, bringing it back to Yarde, I would have loved to see, because when BT signed Callum Johnson, I thought they were going to do Yarde versus Johnson. I would have loved to see that fight.
I think we were kind of I think we were sold that idea.
Anthony Yarde going through his
I'm
routine.
sure. I think we were sold that idea. I'm sure they spoke about that fight, and it never quite happened. There was a comment in the chat saying, "I understand the hometown bias, but trust me, Beterbiev is a beast." I don't know where this hometown bias thing is coming from. We all think that Beterbiev is going to win.
You must
all
have heard me the whole.
All of us think that Beterbiev is going to win. By the way, we're just trying to think of if Yarde were to win, how would he go about it? But we all. Harry Kane's in the chat. Big up Harry Kane. Said Yarde's going to win.
If Anthony Yarde's going to win, I've not said this yet.
He's wearing
so
Jamaican.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, well, one of his parents is Jamaican, and Adidas have just recently signed a deal to
do the Jamaican kids.
Yeah, joke.
That's sick. I need to get
the
one.
Jamaican football team. So yeah, I think you're seeing that's one of their
repping Arsenal as well.
Right, so if Anthony Yarde is going to win this fight, I think, he has to be defensively responsible. I don't go along with this narrative that he's just got to go out there and turn it into a street fight. To me, that would be committing suicide. I think he's got. You touched on it earlier when you said he's got to create openings.
Yeah.
And the way you create openings in boxing is by using the jab. You can use different varieties of the jab. Straight jab, up jab, hook jab, double jab right. He's got to try and be, he's got, as well as being defensively responsible, he's got to probe for the openings. And when you see the openings, you've got to let your hands go.
And you can't telegraph anything he does.
And if he does hurt Beterbiev, again, he's got to jump on him, but he's got to be defensively responsible, because one thing we've seen with Beterbiev is that he does throw punches in combinations. And if he does get hurt, I'm sure he'll fire back. So.
And the issue is if you're in a situation with Buatsi Beterbiev, and you're in that situation where he's taking you to that place where you're hurt now, you're damaged, the chance of recovery is almost limited, it's almost over. But what you can't do is just allow Beterbiev to sustain his attacks, because that's what he done to Brown. And I know people talk about the speed advantage that Yarde has. Brown had a massive speed advantage over Beterbiev, but he just grinded him down. You can't let Beterbiev get in any form of rhythm. So if that means you have to clinch...
But shall I tell you something? I watched that fight, and what was noticeable to me is that as soon as Beterbiev started to back Marcus Brown up, that was curtains. So that's the other thing with Anthony Yarde. He can't afford to get backed up in a way where he
will get backed up.
No, what I'm saying, he can't afford to get backed up in a way that he's just circling the ring.
Yeah.
It's got to be moving off to the side. And that is very difficult to do for big guys like this over a certain
long period
distance.
of time. Yeah, I think the thing is, for me, one of the things I don't like about Anthony Yarde as well is that he just doesn't have what you were saying about the way that he could win the fight. He doesn't have great punch variation. He doesn't use his jab in a lot of different.
Decent,
I think his punch variation is really, really limited.
He's got
really
good uppercuts. He's got good jab.
But in terms of different ways of using the jab.
But not setting up shots. When he's got you hurt, his punch right is amazing.
Exactly.
But when he's setting up shots, if you think about it, 9 times out of 10, look at any Anthony Yarde knockout. He's got a dude and their feet ain't moving. They're just still in the high guard and just teeing off shots. That he's not going to have the opening today. That is not going to be an opening. And another thing
he's got to create it for himself.
And both of us, all three of us will agree. This idea where he's going to fight with his hands down, he can't do that today. He can't do that today. That fight with I've
said it a minute ago, and I've been saying it as soon as this fight was announced. If Anthony Yarde's going to win, his defense has got to be on point. You have to be defensively responsible against a guy like this. Because the thing about Beterbiev is he doesn't need to load up to hurt you.
Yeah.
Even the short shots will hurt. So
the short shots are probably his main. His main strength.
This knockout here, this one here, where he just pivoted on the uppercut, bam.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah, to do that kind of damage in that short range for a reasonably tall fighter at light heavyweight is just.
And I was
so
listening
dangerous.
to Beterbiev's coach during the week. He gave an interview. John Scully. John Scully was like his technical boxing coach, and they were saying that they've been doing a lot of work on body punching, So they're saying they're going to try and utilise the body, going to the body first, right? So I'm expecting to see some good...
That gas tank is going to go.
So if he does go to the body of Anthony Yarde, yeah, that gas tank could
That's when he can start to walk him down. If he can damage his body a little bit early rounds, just little jabs, like we said, then he can start to walk him down and tee off on him.
Biggest issue, and I was saying this off camera, in Beterbiev's recent fights, he's fought so cautious in the first 2 rounds. Like, he hasn't gone out all aggressive. He's been very watchful. Like, even in the even when he knocked out Joe Smith Jr., he was backed up against the ropes, and he actually caught Joe Smith coming in. So he wasn't actually seeking when he fought Marcus Brown. It wasn't until the head clash did he actually start turning up the pressure. So I feel like waiting for an opportunity for Beterbiev to get aggressive is also going to be to his detriment as well. You have to create an opportunity.
Yeah.
You have to create an opportunity.
Yeah, you know what? I expect a chess match of the first couple of rounds, then it could just explode.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure Beterbiev will be looking for openings as well. He'll be probing with a jab. He'll be looking for openings, and then bang, you know.
He has to use the explosiveness, though. He has to use the explosiveness. Like Beterbiev, Yarde has to use all the youth that he does have, like the speed in terms of his hand speed, the ability to get in close and actually load those quick combinations. He has to try and use that at some stage. You know?
And even with the combinations, there's a certain phrase that we have in boxing, and we said, don't get too greedy. And that's basically is you keep your combinations fairly limited, 2 or 3 at a time. Because obviously the more you let your hands go, the more you're giving the opponent the opportunity to come back at you. So even that, it's got to be specific.
We're just watching some highlights here of Yarde versus Kovalev, and look, just once he gets him hurt, there just seems to, at that elite level, seems to not quite be that same killer instinct. I don't know if he was damaged before, but you know, you'd expect that to be the moment. I remember as soon as he hurt Kovalev, I remember thinking, he's done it, like the fight's done. And then,
but there's an art to knocking fighters out.
100%.
It's not just hurting someone and thinking, yep, it's over. There's an art to knocking fighters out. And I just feel like in that situation, coaching as well as himself, that lack of experience where he's got someone who is elite amateur background, professional, who's fought for years, he knows how to ride the wave. And in his mind, he would have probably been thinking, all I need to do is just get over this phase and Yarde is not going to have anything left in the gas tank. That's what he would have been thinking. Now, a smart coach wouldn't have said empty the tank. A smart coach would have said, keep investing in the body. That's what got you there in the first place. Keep investing in the body, slowly wear him down, and when you see the opportunity, make sure you let your hands go, but you don't empty the tank.
Although, to be fair to Tunde, I think that was their first rodeo. And they were inexperienced. I think it will be a different story now. I just want to ask you, Nick, we spoke about it previously, but I do think it could be a factor, age. Now, Beterbiev's 38 years old. Now, that's quite old, even for a light heavyweight. The heavier weights tend to mature a bit later, but 38 is, let's face it, he's not a spring chicken.
That's one of the things I was concerned about.
Could this be a factor?
That's one of the things I was concerned about, the fitness level, what energy's in the tank. I mean, Shane's come in and just been like, trust me, this guy's getting better, he's getting younger. You know, Shane's been selling it to me
Can you get better at 38, though?
I don't know. Listen, but the thing is as well, like, even if his tank is slowing down, is his tank slowing down to the level of Anthony Yarde's? Because Anthony Yarde just doesn't have great stamina.
No, but I'm not even talking about the tank, bro. I'm talking about things like reflexes and stuff like that. When you're 38,
I don't think that'd be a problem. I really don't think that'd be a problem. Not for someone.
But in boxing, reflexes can be a big factor because that might be the thing that allows you to get caught.
I know, but if you're looking at somebody like this guy, somebody that's Russian, somebody that's got 300 plus amateur fight, you know, these guys can fight off of pure instinct. You look at Kovalev getting damaged, getting hit by Yarde, who's a hard puncher, hits him twice, 2-3 times clean, and Kovalev still doesn't go down and he's looking at Yarde. While he's damaged, he's looking at Yarde. He's still keeping his hands reasonably high. These guys are elite fighters.
Although you say that, but a couple of months after Yarde did that to him, Kovalev got knocked out by Canelo.
It's true, but Canelo is a different beast.
This is...
So Shane, talk to me. Beterbiev, 38 years old. Could that be a determinant factor in Yarde's favour?
For Yarde to win, Beterbiev would have to age.
Because we all know
have had
how
to
this
age
thing
overnight.
works. When you're 38, you could just turn up one night, man, and the legs just don't have it no more. Could this be the case? I mean, you're quite right. You referenced the Joe Smith fight for Beterbiev, and he looked flawless, but he never got hit, did he, in that fight? Because it was over in 2 rounds, and he barely took a punch.
No, you're right.
But if Yarde was to land,
you're
who
right.
knows?
You're right.
Could the legs go?
I'm not going to lie and act like Yarde, he has a puncher's chance. And I'm saying this because for Yarde to win, Beterbiev has to have aged. Because if Beterbiev is at his best, I don't want to say he has no chance, but he has less than 10% chance to win if Beterbiev is at his best. But there's a chance that since the last fight, he hasn't, he may have aged. But you brought up something which I think is actually going to work in his favor, is the fact that he hasn't fought a lot over the past few years, and he hasn't taken a lot of damage in the pro ranks.
Yeah.
So because of that, I'm not sure how much he's aged since the last fight. So it's very difficult for me to say something that at this stage I haven't actually seen him age. And as we know, Laurie, in the higher weight classes, you can go a little bit longer.
Yeah, I did say that the heavier weights, they tend to mature a bit later.
And you're looking at someone that, with Beterbiev, because of all of his experience, he's probably seen a bunch of different Anthony Yardes. I was going to say Anthony Joshua, a bunch of different Anthony Yardes, younger, fitter, active, strong. He's probably fought multiple Anthony Yardes across his career, where Anthony Yarde has probably never fought anyone like Beterbiev in his career. So, he'll know you'd expect Beterbiev to have more answers, whether he's hit, whether he's rocked, whether he's outpaced, whether the person's more active. He should have an answer to every single one of those questions.
Do you know that there's a famous phrase that very often used in boxing? Give us the old phrase. And that is, Father Time remains undefeated. Mm-hmm. And listen, you can be as fit as you want to be, you can be as experienced as you want to be. If he keeps fighting, trust me, he's going to lose at some point.
100%.
That's just the laws of average. It's just the way things go. Could it be tonight, though?
What I think is going to be very, very, very significant is when Beterbiev lands that first punch on Yarde. It could be a punch that's on his guard. It could be a punch in his face. I guarantee you his mentality is going to change. Because I remember Joe Smith saying that. Like when the first punch missed him, he just said, I have to go out and get this guy out of there. Because if he lands clean, it's over. So I have to be as aggressive as possible. I guarantee you, whatever mindset Yarde has, once he gets hit, even it could be something that he blocks, his mindset will change. I don't think it's going to be the other way around.
No, well, I don't know. I think that remains to be seen, man. Because let's be honest, I know Yarde got stopped against Kovalev, but so far in his career, you can't really say that he doesn't have a chin.
But this power is different.
I've never seen him hurt.
This power is different, though. This power is different.
But how do we know that he can't take it?
He's also criticised. He's also been criticised for the level of his opponents for most of his career, Anthony Yarde. He's got 23 wins. How many of those are really impressive top-level wins? Even, let's not say world level, even European level wins.
Arthur.
Do you know what I mean? He's got Arthur. That's one of 23 wins. Do you know what I mean?
So, no, you make a very valid point there, but you know what it is? They say that the best chins are the ones that don't get hit. So
of course.
This is why I was saying before, he's going to have to be defensively responsible, which means that, listen, you can't shower and not get wet. He's going to get hit at some point. But what I'm saying about being defensively responsible is that you block most of the blows, and even the blows that you do get caught with, you have to make sure that you're parrying them, or something like that.
But that's the problem, though. We know Beterbiev, even the punches that you block with Beterbiev, they're gonna cause damage. Like this, in any other.
But what
fight,
about the punches that Yarde hits Beterbiev?
You are selling this very, very hard.
The truth is, in any other fight, in any other.
According to some of them in there, I'm capping.
In any other fight, I would be a lot more unbiased. But in this fight, I've tried my best to figure out a way for Yarde to win because I want him to win. I've tried my best. And other than Beterbiev being aging, and him landing a really good shot, and he can land the money shot, and it'd be over. But other than that, I just can't see how he wins the fight.
Yarde is also 31. Like, he's over 30. I know 31 is not the same as 38, but it's not like he's 26. He's still over 30 years of age. And
Yeah,
doesn't
but
quite have
38
that.
is considered to be quite
No,
old
of
in
course,
boxing
of course,
terms.
of
I think
course.
31, 32 is fine.
And he hasn't had much wear and tear
Yeah.
either, to be honest with
Comes
you.
Anthony Yarde making his way to the ring.
And you know what else I like about
He
Yarde,
looks
though?
relaxed.
He's so comfortable.
Yeah.
He's so comfortable, and I think he will be comfortable all the way through. It's just when them
He
punches
must be
start
from
landing.
South.
He looks
No,
slightly
where are you
nervous.
from?
North.
Oh, okay.
He looks focused, but he also looks quite relaxed as he makes his way to the ring. Penny for his thoughts as he walks out.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got a lot of family and friends in the arena supporting him tonight. This is a massive, massive night for him. Yeah. It's a massive, massive fight.
The thing with these elite,
Not just in this country, all over the world, they're all watching this. Trust me.
the thing with these elite Russian guys, yeah, they just don't care. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, remember, like, Beterbiev's Russian, but he fights out of Canada.
Yeah.
He's already sort of somewhat away from home, even when he's at home. So, you know, he's not gonna. I don't think he's going to be overruled by the occasion. We've seen Usyk. I know Usyk's not Russian; he's Ukrainian. But you see Usyk come to London. He's not fazed by the occasion. They do a lot of these European fighters are very acclimatized to traveling. It's the British fighters that are very not acclimatized to traveling abroad.
They asked him, give me a prediction for the fight. And Beterbiev said, I'm just going to try my best. When he said, I was like, oh my God.
He's a very understated guy.
Literally.
We've got the results of the poll in, and I've got to say, you know, it's a bit closer than we would have thought beforehand. 53% going Beterbiev. I must say, I thought it would be higher
What,
than
7% draw?
that. 40% going Yarde, which means that,
7%
70% either don't know or they say it's going to be a draw.
Here
But
comes
yeah,
Yarde walking out now.
Yarde's walking out.
We can't hear it because obviously we're commentating over it, but you just know they're screaming lions in the camp. You know what I'm saying? You just know that's out there.
I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit nervous, you know. I can't even lie. I'm nervous for him still because I want to see him do well. I really do.
I just hope that whatever happens, he presents the best version of himself.
I mean,
So I
And
don't
leave
want
with
him.
no regrets. is the key.
he doesn't have a great track record because a lot of fighters Beterbiev's beaten just decided to call it quits. So I hope that's not Yarde.
I think you made a good point. Was it you, Nick, or you, Shane, when you said that the first time Beterbiev lands is going to be a telling moment in this
I
fight?
said that.
Shane,
Yeah, I said
If Yarde can take it and smile and come through it, or not even smile, but, you know, come through it and you
We'll
think,
see what
you think,
response
oh,
that
he's not really been that shaken, then the signs are good. If he gets wobbled or put down or
you
whatever,
start seeing him taking steps back.
yeah, then... But listen, man, I've got to know Anthony Yarde. He's been on the channel, AFTV, and on DR Sports a few times. Great guy, very dedicated to his craft.
He's been on the channel. Okay, we have to say he's winning. He's winning. Yarde's winning. Yarde's winning.
Nah, less than that. You don't pay my bills, blood, you know what I'm saying?
No, but listen, we all want him to win. I think we all...
Yeah, of
Yeah, I'd
course.
like
he's
to
the
see him
British
win.
guy,
I'd
he's
like to
a
see
London
And
guy.
I like him as well. Like
And
he's
he's a
cool
genuinely
guy. Like,
nice
he's a
guy.
cool
I can vouch for him on that. And Tunde as well. I've been down to the gym to watch him work out and train.
Yeah,
I've interviewed him.
They let us see him. Well, I'm not even going to say what they done.
Yeah, sparring and all that stuff. Yeah, when he was preparing for the Kovalev
Kovalev
fight.
fight.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Obviously, some people say they don't spar in it. So I was,
No, well, that's a total lie because myself and Shane were there.
Yeah.
I think that day you must have sparred at least
About
12
4
rounds back to back.
Literally, you must have fought about 5-6 guys. He was
Yeah,
sparring,
3,
5, 6
4 different
guys.
sparring partners, 3
I
rounds
heard they
each.
don't. Is that just smoke and mirrors to?
I don't know.
Got you.
Maybe they were putting on a show for us, but when
Got
we
you.
were there, he was.
Beterbiev is now making his way out to the ring. Listen, man, this guy's made his way out to a ring.
Do you have a
probably
favourite ring
350 to
You know,
400
he
times.
used to come out. I don't know if he's doing it now, but he used to come out the ring to no music.
But that's what I was just going to say. Do any of you guys have a favourite ring entrance? Because mine is the Mike Tyson, no music, and just the clinking of chains. He just used to cut, well, once or twice, he come out to just clinking chains and
That's
no
dope.
music, which was just terrifying. That was my favourite.
Well,
favourite ring walk,
Beterbiev, you probably guys know already, but he's a devout Muslim, and they
Yeah.
say he does a lot of praying. So
Yeah.
I saw him uttering some words to himself as he was walking to the ring. So he was probably having a quiet prayer,
Yeah,
because apparently
he's
he
a-
prays a lot.
yeah, like.
But yeah, he's
from
a
the
devout
same place
Muslim.
as Khabib, no?
No, he's not actually. He's Chechen.
Okay.
Khabib is from Dagestan, so they're separate, but it's in the same kind of
Yeah.
vicinity.
They look similar though.
They do look
They
similar,
look
yeah,
similar.
yeah.
And they're both animals, trust me.
Got the same barber.
And what's it called? Obviously,
They're both Russian.
Obviously, the famous Ross Abner, who's the cut man in the corner for Beterbiev as well.
Yeah, and that's John Scully there holding up the belts. He's his technical coach.
And then Mark Ramsey.
And Mark Ramsey's the Canadian
Give us a
coach.
last prediction before we go in. Final prediction. Let's have what's in your head, not what's in your heart. Loyalties aside for you two.
I'm going, because I know how Shane's going, I'm going for Yarde. I think it's incumbent upon me to pick Yarde. I really want him to win.
Me as well.
I genuinely think he does have a chance. I really do. I think the fight being in London, in his hometown, I think that's going to inspire him. And I think that
as well.
this could be one of the biggest upsets in boxing. I'm going for Yarde. KO round 6.
Round 6. Okay, go on, Shane.
I mean, I want Yarde to win. I'm praying for Yarde to win.
Yep.
And I hope he leaves the ring safe. That's the most important thing.
Well, we hope both of them leave. So.
Yeah, sorry. We hope both of them leave the ring safe, especially Yarde, because I think he's gonna need it. If I'm gonna be honest, I think 8th round or 9th.
I was going to say
stoppage.
8th. Okay, I'll go 5th then. I was going to say Beterbiev 8th round,
8th round
but I'll
or
say
9th
I'll say 5th.
8th or 9th. I'll go 8th round.
I'll say Beterbiev 5th round. I'll do what the bookies are
Because I do
obviously
think
expecting.
they're both going to be gun shy first 2 rounds. I agree with Laurie on that.
That's what I thought, but then I thought
I don't think it's necessarily gun shy. I just think it's being defensively responsible. I keep using that word.
I think once that first punch lands, all bets will be off, and it will happen. It will
No,
go
but I
from
don't even
quiet.
think that. I think, listen, you got to keep a calm head in these situations. So if you do get hurt and you do get buzzed, the last thing you want to do is just start throwing hands like you're in a street fight out on road, because then you will surely get destroyed.
Well, let's
You'll just
see.
be leaving yourself open.
I'm
Let's
excited.
see,
I'm not going to lie.
Let's see if Shane's right and Anthony Yarde hasn't progressed at all in any attributes. You know, you might see a whole new person tonight.
I hope so, man. He's gonna need to show me something that he's never shown me before
For
to
sure.
win this fight.
Just looking at some of the comments, Beterbiev KO under 6. That was Anthony Yarde winning today, lads. That's from Harry Kane. I wonder if it's the real Harry Kane. Samuel says Yarde is going to get destroyed. The only way to beat Beterbiev is to outbox him, and Yarde doesn't know how to box.
I don't think that's the way to out.
AS45 says Beterbiev is a bit chinny and getting old, but still miles better than Yarde.
But you have chinny.
No, I've not seen any.
I wouldn't say chinny. Callum Johnson's a big puncher.
Despise Simp says Yarde getting knocked out in round 1.
I don't think that's gonna happen. Ripped.
Someone says first name, last name. Says hopefully Yarde does the business tonight, but I think it's a step too far for him. And that kind of reflects what we're seeing in the comments.
But this is what I find so funny. No offense, yeah, I'm not trying to say, but Beterbiev with a Canadian flag next to it.
No, but he does live in Canada.
He lives in Canada.
Yeah, and he's lived in Canada now since
Since
he turned pro.
Yeah, since his pro debut. Because I think Mark Ramsey's always been his coach.
He must be happy with the Canadian flag, obviously, or he would change it. Do you know what I mean? He's not someone that you'd want to upset.
I mean, he's fighting out of
Yeah.
Canada, but we all know that he's a Chechen Russian.
I mean, I would love to see him versus Bivol, man. That's the fight I want to see. Him versus Bivol. Beterbiev versus Bivol.
What about Yarde versus Bivol?
Bivol beats Yarde easy.
Or Yarde versus Callum Smith, or even Dan Aziz.
I would love to
Imagine
see that.
that.
I would love to see that.
Imagine if Yarde wins the title and his first defence is against Dan Aziz. That would be
get us
fantastic.
some ringside
yeah.
tickets.
But they're in the middle of the ring. The referee's giving them their final pre-fight instructions. Yarde is sort of, I'm not sure if he's talking to Beterbiev, but he looked him in the eye and he looked like he was smiling.
Nervous energy, as Laurie says.
Could
I
well
need to get you a
be,
t-shirt
could well
saying
be.
nervous energy.
But here we go, we're about to go.
Beterbiev's
Ladies and
nervous, though.
gentlemen, they're both looking up for it. I can't wait for this.
Who's
The bell's
taking
about
centre
to
ring?
sound.
Who's taking centre ring?
Yarde.
Okay, cool. I think so as well.
Here we go. And it is Yarde that's taken centre
so.
ring.
Yeah. You'd expect that.
Beterbiev landed a couple of jabs there. Yarde looks a bit jittery.
Jittery, yeah.
Yeah, Yarde looks a bit. That's the nervous energy.
I
that,
think I think Yarde just wants to be the guy to land first. He just wants to be that first person to
just
set
doing
that
way
pace.
too much movement.
Yeah.
I think Beterbiev's doing a good job circling
Now
left and right.
Beterbiev's taken centre ring and he's stalking. Yarde lands a good jab and one to the body.
Lots of good jab. But this is what I mean about Yarde's jab variation. I know it's early, but just lots of jabs and not
that was
many.
a good jab by Beterbiev.
Great jab. moved him back as well. It's made him take a step
look
back.
At the feet, look at the feet, Laurie and Nick. Look at the feet and how he's just circling him and just forcing him back to the back of the ring. I mean, to the rope, sorry. Forcing him back to the ropes.
It's elite movement.
It's subtle.
That was a good jab there by Yarde.
Very.
Landed a good, decent right hand there.
Yeah, he looks like, again, he has to rely on that explosiveness.
When you're in the ring, you don't realise that people with that kind of good foot movement are creeping up on you.
The funniest thing is, Yarde needs to calm down a bit.
Oh, that was a good counter
shot there.
Good counter left hook by Yarde. Caught Beterbiev on the top of the head.
Good job there.
I think Yarde's doing okay now. He's settling down a little bit.
Settling down. He's trying to catch him on the way in, which I think is the right game plan as it stands right now. But he just got to be very careful.
Lots of that twitchy energy, though. Lots of twitch in there. You know, he needs to just settle down a little bit more.
The funniest thing is Beterbiev hasn't overreached on anything other than a jab, to be honest.
No.
Oh, that was a good shot by Yarde. Rocked him back on his feet there.
Caught him on the way in. I think Beterbiev is seeing the speed difference in terms of.
I'll tell you what, is there a case for Yarde winning this round so far?
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
I mean, there's a minute left, so let's not.
The speed difference you can clearly see in terms of hand speed and the explosiveness of Yarde, and he's obviously relying on that youthfulness right now.
Yeah, and that activity, yeah. It's a great counter left from. That's what's scary. Another great left hand.
But he took it.
This is Beterbiev. He's just learning Yarde's pattern, learning Yarde's speed,
can't let him time you, and you can't let him get into a rhythm.
Misses the right hand. Big right hand miss there by Beterbiev. Just starting to get. He's trying to just nick the. I think he knows he's probably losing this round.
No, but I don't think he cares about the round. I don't think either fighter cares about the round. It's just about building a rhythm.
Good.
You know what he's doing? That check left hook is working real good for Yarde. He needs to keep that going.
So what you're saying is he's improved a lot from this last fight.
Yeah, definitely. He showed me things I haven't seen before. Just that check left hook is really good.
That's a good jab by Yarde, and again.
Beterbiev looks a little bit shocked by the speed difference, I think.
He's slightly red in nose there. Good body shot. He caught Yarde there, and Yarde took it well. Yarde took it well.
You don't want to be taking those.
Very good.
That was a good first round, and Yarde looks at him with a little bit of disdain there. You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was a competitive first round, but I'd say Yarde nicked that round. Nick?
Yeah, not even nicked. I think Yarde dominated that round for sure.
Dominated? Wow.
I don't think he dominated, but I think he won the round.
I think it's clear. When I say dominated, I think it's a clear Anthony Yarde round.
But one thing I would say is, and I just want to see that.
Who do you think won the round?
No, I think Yarde won the round. He's doing good with that check left hook, especially catching him on the way in. But what he's also getting caught with is Beterbiev's left hand. And the reason why is because, again, you were saying, you got to keep your hands up. He's dropping his hands to throw shots. You got to throw your shots from up here, not from down at your hips. And it's just those habits, those idiosyncrasies that you always see Yarde do. He just needs to break that habit. If you can do it's a bit of
slight bruising under Beterbiev's left eye there.
Yep.
That will give Yarde encouragement.
Definitely.
Having been in the ring myself, you know that you see a guy bruised up or cut, that always gives you a bit
I just
want
to see him also calm down as well.
Beterbiev looking a bit purposeful, but he's got caught again by a right hand there.
I think the jab caught him. I don't think the right hand caught him, but
the thing is with the question for Yarde is how much can he keep up this pace and this type of output? How many rounds can he keep this up before we start to see him slipping?
That's a good question.
Because we know Beterbiev knows his kind of timing, knows his sort of rhythm. As soon as Yarde starts to slip off middle rounds, Beterbiev's going to take a lot of confidence.
That's the problem. You can't let him build a rhythm. You can't let him get used to the time.
Good left
caught
hand.
by a left hook there.
Good left hook. Just timing these so well. Great timing.
See.
Yarde already doing better than a lot of people said he would. Some people said first round knockout.
I don't know who would have thought that. Good job from Beterbiev.
It's really good as well for Yarde to be fighting when they're just so close, because we know Beterbiev does a lot of good work
Leaks
up close.
In the left hook.
So he has to keep, when they come close, keep throwing punches. Even if they're not optimal punches, you've got to keep throwing punches.
I'll tell you what, Yarde's looking a bit more confident in this round. He's less skittish.
So. Yeah.
The first round he was a bit skittish. He's not skittish this round. That was obviously, like Nick said, first round nerves. The feet look a bit more steady this time.
Yeah, I think so. You can see how much more calm he is, but he has to just battle with himself to not get complacent. Calmness, not complacency.
Good jab.
Very.
Moving side to side already.
Oh, he got caught there. He got caught.
We haven't seen from Yarde. Now he's in the corner.
But he's fighting back. He's fighting back.
Good lateral movement from Anthony Yarde.
Ooh, that's a good shot. I think
shot.
Beterbiev is trying to get
Trying to get him in the corner.
Beterbiev.
What I like
Anthony
about
Yarde using his energy. I think he's trying to get Anthony Yarde using his energy at this stage. He's getting caught with shots that he shouldn't be getting caught with right now, Yarde. This is not a good place to be.
He's trying to fight himself off those ropes.
Exactly, but you don't. Beterbiev is going to make you work when you want to rest, and that's the problem.
Oh, great uppercut by Yarde.
Uppercut from Yarde. Brilliant uppercut, and he threw it from mid-range.
Yeah.
Really good uppercut.
He tried it again, but missed. He got caught himself there. His eye looks like he's swelling up a bit there.
Who, Yarde?
Yeah.
He's caught a few jabs there. Beterbiev's jab is really
you see that?
underrated.
Yeah, definitely.
Just on the right side of his eye, on his right eye.
Yarde definitely has got Beterbiev's respect. 100%. 100%. Because at this stage, you would see Beterbiev just walk behind the high guard and just walk you down. He's actually methodically moving forward. So he's definitely.
Oh, he got caught again. I think he might be troubled by that eye, you know. He looks like he's dabbing it. But he fights back off the ropes. Good two-punch combination there. This is a good fight, people.
It's a very good fight.
As I said, he's relying... Good punch. The explosiveness of Yarde is really causing Artur Beterbiev problems.
He has to think about everything, doesn't he? Because he just doesn't want to get eat those punches. Great counter right hand again.
Oh, that's a good shot by Yarde. This is a very competitive fight, people.
Good fight. I think Beterbiev won that.
Yeah, I would say Beterbiev. He landed a very good shot, right-hand shot in that round. It looked like it might have buzzed Anthony Yarde. The eye looks a little damaged as well.
The problem with this is you can't fight a sustained fight just off the back foot.
That was a body shot.
Lateral movement, really impressive. The way he moves out of that dangerous spot, this is it here, and spins around.
That was really good.
Really impressive.
That was really impressive.
So he's always kind of fought in straight lines, Anthony Yarde. So seeing him throw some more angles in is really interesting.
Very much so. I thought he's got to do something to break Beterbiev from coming forward, though. He's got to do something. Because he can't just allow Beterbiev to dictate the pace of the fight.
He looks nice and composed in the corner.
Very much so.
And this is where this is where so many fights are won, in the corner, having that experience around you and getting that coaching.
You can see, like, slowly he's getting used to the rhythm. And I just feel like he just needs to do something to break it.
So what we're saying, 1 round each, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't really want to do the scorecards because it's not going 12 rounds.
But it's just good, just in case, as unlikely as it is, so that we have scored it. You know.
That explosiveness is really causing Beterbiev problems.
Yeah,
one thing I like as well about Anthony Yarde, every time he gets hit with something, he tries to come straight back.
Yeah, he fights back.
So he's trying to not allow.
Is that water in the corner?
No, mouth guard fell out.
Oh.
So what he's doing by that is he's saying to Beterbiev, I'm not going to let you have the last punch.
Yeah, no, of course.
Which is important psychologically.
I think that's what Marcus Brown done. He just gave up ground mentally.
Especially against someone with the attacking prowess of Beterbiev. You bite down your mouth guard and put your hands up, he's going to come in and try to finish you off. So you've got to fight back.
And I think he's doing a good job at that. Obviously, how long can he sustain it for?
Yeah. As
you were saying, that's the question. But as it stands right now, he's doing a good job. And he's got the speed, as you can see, the athleticism. And you can clearly see that Yarde is trying to use that speed to his advantage.
Yeah.
Him missing that widely shows me that Beterbiev's got the timing.
Yeah. And that he's trying to get in and out nice and quick. He's trying to get his work done quickly and not stay too close. They both actually respect each other.
I told you that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I told you that was going to happen. That's a brilliant
This
right
is a more
hand.
close. This is only a minute into the third round.
Bit more eye damage to Beterbiev.
It's a closer round. It's the closest of the first 3 rounds that we've seen so far.
Definitely.
Good shot there from Yarde, overhand right.
Good jab.
They got the same reach as well, or has Yarde got a slight reach advantage?
I think Yarde just got a 1 inch
I think it's
advantage.
But also you got to look at it where they're throwing the shots from. So
Yeah.
Yarde is trying to catch him on the way in, whereas Beterbiev's leading. So
Very tactical fight. They're standing in the middle of the ring and trading, but not recklessly trading.
and there's not a lot of clinching.
Good shot there from Yarde.
Yeah,
Double
it's a
jab.
real chess game.
Double jab and the right hand to the body.
And he's trying to counter Beterbiev's jab, which
Good
I think
shots
that's
by Yarde.
probably the
Might be low.
safest thing to do, you know. Try and counter Beterbiev's jab.
This is another decent round for Yarde, you know. So for 2 minutes
Yeah.
in, he's having a decent round.
Very,
Oh,
very
good
close.
shot by Yarde
really
there.
good shot.
And again,
it's a good counter
I'll tell
by
you what, this
Beterbiev,
is
though. I mean,
shaping up to be a very good fight.
neither one of them can receive a punch without kind of throwing the one at the same time as well. They're very, very
I think
even.
they're just trying to counter each other's jab, especially over the top.
For sure.
And
Beterbiev looks quite marked up, you know.
he
Look,
does. I'm not reading into that much though.
Yeah, because some people just bruise easily, right? And
That's a good shot.
nice.
Good
Trying to put
good
some
punch.
combinations together. We didn't see many combinations. Lots
I
of ones and twos, which is
But I
which is
think
fine.
it's out of respect.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Really good jab there again.
good
They
jab.
both been landing some really solid jabs. And the footwork from both fighters, I have to say, I've been really impressed with.
To me, I think this is a good round for Yarde.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah, I would edge this
Oh,
round.
he took a left
Great
hook.
left. Great check left
Oh,
hook.
he's hurt there.
He's
he took
hurt.
a left hook.
He's
Didn't
hurt.
like that
He
at
was
all.
hurt there.
Does that impact
You
the
know
round?
what? I was going to give that round to
Impact the
Yarde.
round?
I was going to give that round to
He wobbled
Yarde.
there to the ropes there.
I was going to give that round to
Very, very
Yarde,
close.
but right on the,
I'm not
almost on
scoring
the
that
bell,
round.
he got caught by a big left hook. He looked like he wobbled a little.
I'm going to
bit.
do a Carl Froch and not score the round. Carl Froch is the master of 10
Nah,
isn't he?
you've got- nah,
I'm
nah,
joking.
you've got
Now,
to
if
score
I have to give that round to Beterbiev.
I listen. I was going to give that round to Yarde. It was a competitive round, but I thought Yarde had done the better work. But right on the bell, he got caught by a left hook there, and it looked to me like he did a little wobble.
Hit the like button.
So this is professional boxing rather than amateur boxing. So I'm going to have to give that round to Beterbiev. Nick,
Yeah, I think so. I think it was close enough. I think it's going to come down to the power punches because I think it would be close to even if not for that power punch. And yeah, I think that just sways it.
yeah.
Here we see it again.
Here we go.
Ducks.
Set it up.
Brilliant.
Look how we set it up.
Brilliant
see him-
movement from
see the-
Beterbiev.
Look, he just dipped his head over. Boom.
Bang.
Took his head off the line. That's what they call it. Taking your head off the line.
And he didn't even throw a punch to
But
set
Yarde,
that up.
he's taken it, and he's
100%.
back.
He's backed up to the rope straight away. I don't like that.
Oh, he got caught again
Caught with
there.
the right hand.
He got caught by a right, and again.
Beterbiev looking
don't-
more and more confident now.
Oh.
With another left.
Oh, Beterbiev has
Yeah, this
made
is
a
not
very
looking
good start
good.
to this round.
This is not looking great.
Oh, he's got caught again. Oh, the legs.
Beterbiev
legs
starting
dipped
to
a
be
little
off
bit
the-
there.
He's not moving off the ropes. The lateral movement is already gone.
Yarde's
He's
trying to
fighting in
fight
straight lines
back,
again.
to his credit.
Yarde's fighting in straight
he's
lines.
missing. Oh, he got caught.
No, here we go. This is it. This is where you start
Jeez,
to...
Oh,
man. Good
Yarde-
fighting
Good fighting back. Good
Yarde is
fighting
showing
back.
tremendous heart.
Remember in that first round, he moved left and right to get
He's
out
gotta
of this
move out of the
position?
ropes.
He's not
Gotta move
moving. He's gone back to type, hasn't he? He's gone back
That's
to
what
what
I
he's
said.
naturally...
That's what I said. You always revert back to type. Good jab, but you can tell those punches are starting to have some effect.
It's where he needs his
And
coaches...
you know what? What did Laurie say? Don't get greedy. Beterbiev isn't getting greedy.
100%.
He didn't get greedy at all.
100%. But yeah,
Has he weathered the storm?
I don't think so.
that's the problem against a fighter like Beterbiev. Have you ever weathered the storm, really? Because it's just he's rehydrating to come back with another storm, isn't
Not
it?
only
That
Yeah.
is a really good slip from Yarde there. I thought that was a really good slip. Because he slipped that shot really well. Because I think if that landed, it would have been good night.
The things that were really good from him were that lateral movement and the counter punching. The lateral movement's
You-
pretty much gone. The counter punching seems
looks a
to
bit
have almost
desperate.
have gone as well.
It looks a bit desperate, the
Yeah,
counters.
he's fighting with his mouth open.
Yeah, his
I
mouth's
don't like
open.
that.
He's gasping for air.
See,
Good
that's the
jab.
pressure that Beterbiev's putting on him, you see.
Good jab. And the body shots again.
Body shots start to come in, yeah, when they're close now.
And he's got the strength to push him back to the ropes. This is not a good sign.
That's a really good point from Shane as well. Yeah, exactly. But Yarde should
This
be
is
pushing
Beterbiev.
Beterbiev back.
That was a
not
good
the other
left
way
hook
around.
there
That
by
was a good
Yarde.
left hook. I don't know what happened there.
Yarde
You
just
know
landed
what?
a decent left
Really
hook.
good left hook.
Oh, and again. Oh, he
Great
caught Yarde
counter
coming
right.
in. He
Great
caught him
counter
coming
right.
in.
This is where Yarde does
Oh,
not
he's
wanna
hurt.
be.
He's hurt.
He's fighting
But
back.
Yarde is fighting back.
Might want to watch those elbows from
Keep
Beterbiev.
ducking, bro. Keep
Yeah, you
ducking.
got to keep. But Yarde has got tremendous heart.
He has, and he's got a good chin as well. He's taking some full-blooded shots.
And
And
Was
he
it,
stayed up.
was it me
Dennis
that was it me
Beterbiev.
that called round 5? I think it was me that
Yeah,
called
it
Beterbiev
was.
round 5. Yeah,
Good
it's
jab.
good jabs. Good jabs both still.
I
The
do
Yarde
think
not looking
Yarde
quite
is. I
comfortable.
do think Yarde is still got his whereabouts to a certain degree.
He does, but it's the puffing up of the right eye. It's the fighting with the mouth
Is
open.
there a rematch clause in this?
Good uppercut there by Yarde.
I think there naturally is for a WBC title fight.
His eye looks like it's
Good body
puffing
shot.
up.
The right eye swollen is the thing.
Yeah.
It's coming from the jabs.
He's still fighting on though. Got to give him credit.
He's
100%.
pushing Beterbiev back.
Oh, that's
Great
a
counter
really good
right
uppercut.
again, straight back into that eye, and he keeps dabbing the eye,
That-
which is not normally a
that
good
never
sign.
helps.
Yep.
Oh, he's taking too much flush
There we
shots.
go. Yeah, that's definitely a Beterbiev
That's definitely.
round.
But in fact, that was probably Beterbiev's cleanest round. He hurt him a couple of times in that round. The eyes closing up, but Beterbiev looks a bit marked up too.
And
he
I
knows
think
he's
he
in a
looked a bit
fight.
frustrated as well.
Yeah. I think he's going to be frustrated because he's damaged him and not been able to clean him
Oh,
out.
really?
But
That was a really good shot.
for me, it was here. Once they got into the corner and he stopped moving, he just kind of stayed in the corner and, and
Can't keep
didn't
taking
move.
those shots though, can you, Laurie?
No.
After
No
a
way.
while, like, no matter how tough you are, you're going to have some form of damage.
But Yarde did land a couple of decent
Very
shots
good
himself.
shots on the counter. And I do think this is where, when you're talking about age, who recovers faster, who recovers first.
Look
I
at
don't
that
think
eye.
Beterbiev's as damaged as Yarde.
Couple of comments there. Yarde is blowing hard. Shaky
Pause.
legs. Yarde in serious trouble. Yarde breathing heavy. It's over. The ref is going to stop it, but he's still in there, man.
I don't think the ref will stop it because it's a Queensbury fight. I think Yarde would have to be in real
I
trouble
think
to
the
have
only
the
way
ref
it's going to
stop
get
it.
stopped is
Yarde needs a good round. It's a couple of rounds since he had a decent
This
round.
is the issue though. When Yarde now needs to be aggressive because he's down 3-1. I know we all think it's going to end by knockout, but
his mouth guard fell out
mouth
again.
guard comes out
As
again.
you said, it's because his mouth's open. It's easy to happen when your mouth's open.
I know we're not counting rounds, but 3-1, Yarde having to now go and be the aggressor is going to play straight into Beterbiev's hands.
I don't think he needs to be the aggressor. I think he's just got to be
As
smart.
the
and-
fight goes on, he will have
I
to
don't-
become the
No,
aggressor.
but you know
there.
what it is? I don't think he's going to win on points, bro. I think he's just got to...
I think he's just got to
He's got to
time
look
a
for
really good
openings and
shot,
take
yeah.
them. I don't think
Yeah.
he's going to be ultra aggressive.
I think he's got to get his timing back.
Yeah.
That's one thing he definitely needs to get
But
back.
the way that we look at these two fighters, we know that as the rounds go on, Yarde's going to lose that speed, and Beterbiev's timing is going to get better, not worse.
Of course. But you got to keep trying whilst you're in there, isn't it?
I think the tactics from Yarde are good. I think he's
I agree.
got
I
to
agree.
look for the openings.
But he got to, as you said, he's got to still be defensively minded, and I think he's lost that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good shot there.
It was.
Beterbiev felt that. He's backing off.
And he caught him on the way
He
back
caught
in, though.
Beterbiev backing off. That's not something you see normally. Good shot by Yarde. Good right hand.
another counter right.
And
from
Yarde
Beterbiev,
knows it
though.
because he's going looking for him.
But he
This
has
is what
to
I'm
be
saying. When he
careful.
goes
He
looking for
definitely
him,
hurt Beterbiev with that right
Yeah,
hand.
definitely.
Definitely.
but
Definitely.
Beterbiev is such a good counter
And
puncher.
you see the way how he circled out. Do you see the way Beterbiev circled out? He didn't
Good
just go
body
back in a
shot.
straight
Good
line.
body shot by Yarde. We haven't seen many body shots from Yarde
But you
so
see,
far.
what good fighters will do is that they will move away and then they'll come back when they've recovered, and that's what Beterbiev did.
But
good
Yarde
jabs,
is doing
yeah.
a really good job. I'm not even going to lie to
He's
you.
putting
He
up
is.
an excellent fight.
He
really
is, for sure.
He's
I think
showing
Beterbiev's
everything.
just waiting for him to step in and judge that counter
But
speed.
you know what it is?
There it is. Oof, that was close.
Yarde has shown that not only can he take a punch, but he's actually shown that he's actually got angles and he's a little bit of variety to his game. I don't think there's many fighters that would be able to take those shots from Beterbiev as well. So he's still in there.
He's still in there.
Up against the ropes
Good
now, not where he wants to be.
Good counter. Really good counter from Anthony Yarde.
Oh,
Again,
two
that
good
check,
jabs.
look, that check.
Oh!
Great right hand. Great.
He
right
hurt him there, people.
That's the equaliser.
And
That's
the
the
crowd are on their feet. They sent something. That was that. And Beterbiev backing up.
Yeah, that was the punch that can just
That was
switch
a
the
really
momentum.
That
good
was-
punch. But that's what we were saying about the timing on the
That
way
was
in.
probably the best punch of the whole fight. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think Beterbiev just trying to ride it out at the moment.
Huge
He doesn't
overhand
want
right by
another
Yarde.
one.
And
Legs
But-
are gone though.
He doesn't want another one. He's got to see it out.
Beterbiev, he looks uncomfortable in there,
Very
bro.
much so.
Now Beterbiev's
Beterbiev
up
looks
against the ropes.
uncomfortable.
Very much so.
Last 20 seconds. Can he survive? Yarde's trying to put it on him.
Yarde
Good
is
body
putting
shot.
it on. Well done, Yarde. He's actually come back. Oh, you can't take that shot though. You can't take
Oh,
that
no,
shot.
no. This is not good. Oh,
Switch the momentum back again.
Oh, Beterbiev,
Now Yarde's up against
He's
the
gotta
ropes.
fight back.
Teeing off.
the referee's looking.
We don't want to see a towel coming
Oh, back comes Yarde. And what a round.
in.
What a round.
It's a great round of fighting.
What a round.
How Yarde took those shots and Beterbiev took those shots, bro. This is a really good fight.
The crowd,
This is a really
Storms
good
is
fight.
in the house.
This is a really good fight.
Yarde is really showing out
And he's
today,
tough.
bro. No matter what happens from here on in, I'm proud of him. That
Facts.
was. I'll tell you what, that overhand right that he threw, Beterbiev was visibly
I told
hurt.
you about that, the money shot.
I think we're going to see it now. Bang! Oh! Look at that shot, Beterbiev. There it goes. Bang!
Bang.
Oh!
But
Beterbiev
again,
is so open.
what did you say? You can't get greedy. You can't get greedy.
Caught him on the ropes there, you see.
Yeah, that was good. It's so tough, isn't it? It was
Body
good.
shot.
It's good discipline from Yarde to not rush in.
Oh, what an uppercut that was.
Yeah, once Beterbiev gets him up against the ropes, that's where he's in
That body
big,
shot
big
is raw.
trouble.
That was Mike Tyson-esque.
Body
Remember
shot
Tyson
again.
used to do that?
Yeah,
Body shot
on the
and
left
come
side.
up through the middle
He'd
with
do
the
it on the
uppercut.
left side, but he'd leave people on the floor when he did it.
What's going on? Why is there?
His face looks quite banged up, Yarde.
He's
I
got a
hope
cut
he's-
underneath his eye as well.
But this is a sensational fight so
Yep.
far.
Very good.
Again,
I think
we know it's going to be a knockout somewhere, but
Definitely.
just
This
for
is
the
not
sake of
going
argument,
to- Oh, big
overhand right, back into the
I
corner.
said round 6 for Yarde.
his
but
eyes cut. His eyes cut.
Yeah, cut under the eye of Anthony Yarde on the right eye, which is where Beterbiev likes to do most of his work with his
Yeah,
jabs.
especially with his jab, yeah.
Now we
Especially
can
with his
just cut
jab.
with that cut, he might have to go for broke, people.
This is it, yeah, because if you can open up that cut, the fight
Yeah.
gets stopped anyway, and it's probably on
And I
rounds
think he is
3-2.
going for broke.
He is
Yarde-
going for
yeah,
broke.
I think,
Oh, that's
Yarde-
a really good uppercut that he's
I think
caught.
Yarde knows that he's got a limited time span. because of
3,
the
2, 1
eye. He's
rounds in
dabbing
case
at
he
it
gets
furiously.
Stabbing at the eye. You never really want to do
I
that.
think
'cause it
Yarde's
opens it
thinking
up
it's now or
further.
never.
He put in a really good fight. I can't lie to you. Yarde has put in a really good fight, even if he gets knocked out.
Oh, that's a good
Well, if
body shot by
if
Yarde
the
there.
eye opens up, it won't even be a knockout. It will be like a
They'll
TKO.
go to the
They'll
scorecards.
stop it. And I
No,
think
no,
it's,
it wouldn't go to the scorecards because it was caused by a punch.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Good parry. It looks like both of them are
Both
nervous.
trying to just time.
Both of them are nervous.
They
Good
both
body
know they
shot.
can hurt each other. Both trying to time, and nobody wants to set the pace. They both want to react.
The reason why is because that's what you end up finding with power punches. Power punches are afraid to lead.
That's a good shot by Yarde over the top again. And again by
Very
Yarde. Good
good.
shots. And
One
again,
thing he
good
has shown
jab.
me is
He's having
much
a-
better in the Kovalev fight is that he can fight hurt. He's fought hurt and fought tired in his fight much better than I saw him in the Kovalev fight. So credit to him for that. Good jab again. Both fighters landing really good jabs there.
I wonder what Dmitry Bivol was thinking when he's watching this.
Dmitry Bivol's thinking that he will school both dudes. I'm joking.
He probably is thinking that. To be fair,
Oh, he's cut as well. Beterbiev's cut over his left eye.
It's a grueling fight, man. It's a grueling fight. There's been some big shots by both guys. Beterbiev misses with the overhand right. Good ducking by Anthony Yarde. He's shown a good defense.
he's dabbing his eye as well, Beterbiev, so you
Yeah.
can't quite see, which is going to affect his timing. So they've got to fight off of
And
kind of
you know
instinct.
one thing I've noticed about this round, guys? Yarde is backing Beterbiev up more than any time in the fight.
He is. I think
Yeah.
Beterbiev just wants to get that eye worked on before he can kind of start.
And I
going back
also
into
think he
real
knows that
battles.
Yarde doesn't have much left in the fight. In terms of he knows that as the fight goes down the stretch, Yarde is going to gas more.
That's the thing. I mean,
Especially
yeah,
with the body work that he's put in.
that's the
Oh,
thing.
good shot.
Oh, that is
Great
a
counter.
really good
Great
counter.
counter.
left
And
hand.
that's the problem. As soon as Yarde goes in, Beterbiev can counter. 10 seconds left now in this round.
Who wins the clinch? No one. Let them fight out the clinch, ref.
They never let them fight out the clinch these days. Stall's already in.
Have you noticed what I've noticed in this fight, gents? It's just that whenever
give
it
that round
gets
to
down
to
to the
Beterbiev.
last 30 seconds,
they try to...
Beterbiev always puts in a little flurry.
Yeah, but it's
literally.
point shaving, isn't it?
Yeah,
he's trying to nip
But,
rounds.
but you know when you do
It's
it,
working, 'cause I
you
give it
know-
to him.
and also that walk to the ring, to the corner, you're just trying to eat as much of your recovery time as possible.
Hmm.
You see, if I put that work in at the beginning of the round, you can use the end of the round to recover.
Yeah.
If I cause my damage at the end of the round, as it starts to get, obviously once the round's over, you only have literally a minute, and it's literally
There's
a
that
minute.
cut that Nick was talking about. It's quite a bad one, you know.
It is. But
That is a bad cut.
he's got an amazing cut, man, though. Russ Abner is an amazing cut, man.
That is
It's
a
an
bad
awkward
cut.
one because it's on the eyelid as
Yeah.
well. Really difficult to close up.
He knows he's in a fight tonight.
Oh, I think you need that from the
Some
first
comments here. But Beterbiev has taken the last 2 rounds. Who did you give that last round to?
I gave it to Beterbiev. I think I've got it 4-2 so far.
Yeah, I think that sounds about accurate. Amir Sub says, big up, guys, loving the content.
Big up.
Anthony says 2 rounds maximum left.
round. Yeah, defo.
This
Yard's power is a very good leveler, says somebody. Oh, that's a good shot by Yarde there.
yeah, Yard's power is keeping him in this fight.
keeping him in this fight because it's making
And his heart. He's
of
shown a lot of
course,
heart.
and his chin.
A lot of stuff.
Everything, to be honest. He's just performed that.
But yeah, I think it could be a stamina issue again, because I don't see Beterbiev slowing down quite as much, especially where Yarde is leading the fight. He's going to use up more energy. Beterbiev's going to sit and counter.
The biggest thing is also the explosiveness.
Good punches from
Yarde.
Yarde.
Really good from Yarde.
Oh, that's a great shot by Yarde. Good left hook. But Beterbiev comes back with a good body shot. It's been like that in this fight.
Yeah,
man.
tip for
Just
tap.
as you think somebody's going to dominate, the other one comes back.
I think Beterbiev's taking the first minute off.
Yeah, he tends to finish strong, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, if he takes that
But
time off,
I'll tell you what has
giving Anthony
surprised
Yarde a
me in this fight is that Yarde has had spells where he's been backing Beterbiev up.
I wasn't surprised by that.
No?
No, because I knew Beterbiev had to respect Yarde's power.
Oh!
Was that a punch or was that a slip?
it's a slip
I
over
think
his
he
leg.
went
It
off
looked
balance
like.
a little bit,
Yeah.
but Yarde made him pay by landing a couple of good shots.
Yeah, definitely.
And again,
Yarde is really trying to catch him on the way in, which I think sometimes it's been a bit, wide, but sometimes it's been really crisp and clean.
It's a good tactic. It's just disrupting his flow. You don't want to let someone like Beterbiev set
Get
down and
into a
get into a
rhythm.
rhythm. Yeah, so
Yeah,
you've got to
and he's
disrupt
done
him and
that.
get him.
oh,
early.
that was a good left hook.
Got a good counter back as well.
Yarde's got to move his head.
Yeah, that's been the weakness. That head movement hasn't quite been there.
If this goes 12, I'll be so surprised.
Good shot by both of them. Both landing. Oh, good shot by Yarde. Backs up Beterbiev. And again. And again.
This is some.
This
really
is a
good
great
work from
fight we're
Yarde.
watching, people. And Beterbiev comes
Once
back.
Beterbiev
3
gets
good
in,
shots.
once he gets him up against
Oh,
the
now he's got
ropes.
Yarde hurt here. Well, he's got him hurt.
This is where it
he
gets
needs to
scary.
get off the
When he's
ropes.
up against the ropes,
he
it gets
fights
scary.
back.
And in the corner.
He's really trying. You can see he's grimacing, but he's throwing. Oh,
Good counter.
he's giving everything Yarde is. Look
Literally.
at that.
Both of them are going to need to
Oh.
go to the hospital after this.
Anthony Yarde, man. What
performance.
a performance.
What
Against-
a performance.
Oh,
Last
what
20
great.
seconds.
Uppercut on the way in.
Last
what
20
an
seconds.
uppercut.
And again.
Try-
Tries
missed
to go
that
for
one,
it again.
Oh, brilliant shot.
Beterbiev seems a little bit almost frustrated. He's getting him where he wants him in the corner.
This
He's
is
teeing
the
off,
top- I've watched
and he just
every,
can't
I've
get
watched
get him out of there.
Beterbiev fight. I've watched every Beterbiev fight. No one has taken these shots. No one has taken these shots.
Do you think Beterbiev would be getting frustrated that he's
Oh,
getting him into the corner?
He's been getting frustrated.
He's teeing off on him, and he just can't get him out of
He's
there.
been getting frustrated. He's been getting frustrated.
And meanwhile, that cut's getting worse.
Of course.
And the blood is dripping down into his eye now.
Yeah, of course. That's one of the worst cuts to have. Obviously, he's fought in this position before with the Brown fight
Yeah.
when he had that massive cut as well. But
You see, Brown wasn't able to put him under any pressure.
No.
Whereas Yarde is not only putting him under pressure, but he's
I give
hurting
that
him.
round to
real
Yarde,
big
by the
shots.
way.
Yeah?
I give it to Yarde that round. Have it full.
I'm not so sure.
I'm
I
not
think
so
I'll
sure. I
give it
think
Beterbiev.
Beterbiev won that round.
Beterbiev
he
landed the cleaner shots.
I just think Yarde just showed great fight to come back in the round.
But what I can say is that in every round, Yarde's been competitive.
Other than that one round.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think there was one round where he just
second or
got
third
that
where he just
clean
got-
round
yeah.
A
where
couple of comments there. Statbeck says Yarde has to stay out of the corner.
it's hard to do that at this
Yarde
stage.
is as tough as steel. What an uppercut. What a fight. One of the best fights I've seen in a while. We certainly echo that.
I can agree with that, and I watch fights every week.
Liam says
Was that
1,400
a
returns
head
for me
clash
if it
there?
goes the
Little bit.
distance.
Maybe head
Oh,
and
good
shoulder
shot by
clash.
Beterbiev. Right
Pushing
hand
his
over
head
the top.
in. Ref's got to keep an eye on that. He's pushing his head in there.
Who?
Beterbiev. He's getting his head low and when
Yeah,
they're close.
these guys know the tricks of the trade
Yeah.
just to...
Yarde's leg just looked a bit funny when that right hand landed there a little
What,
while ago.
the short one, the short shot.
Yeah, it did. I think it stiffened him a bit, but he's
He's
shown.
back, he's
You know
back.
what? His conditioning for this fight has been amazing. 'cause He's
Amazing.
been hurt several times,
And he's
come
fought.
back.
But that's the youthfulness, though. That's the youthfulness that's worked in his favour. You know, the recovery time.
Good,
What a good counter.
good right hand.
And
counter
again, it was the last minute where Beterbiev started to fight. It was the last minute again.
yeah.
You know, someone in the corner in Anthony Yarde's camp needs to say, listen, he's trying to steal the last minute of the round.
Not just steal it, but also let you gas out a little bit and prey on you when your stamina's gone down.
I'd like to see Yarde go to the body a bit more.
Me
you
as
know?
well.
Told you, punch variation. It's not one of the issues I got with him, but he's good. Very, very good.
He's
but
headhunting a little bit too much. Yeah,
wants the
going and
knockout.
slip that body shot in. Test those
Getting
38-year-old legs.
I think that's where he's missed the trick. He hasn't gone to the body enough.
Yeah, he's been active. Definitely been active, throwing a lot of punches.
Oh,
great right hand. Great right hand.
Oh, he's down.
He's down.
He's down.
His first knockdown. Anthony Yarde is down. Let's see, can he get out of
he
there?
He got caught on the way
He
with the right
He
hand.
looks like he's out, you know. He's out.
They're going to give him time. No, he's the home fighter. They're going to give him time because he's the home fighter. Yep, they're going to give him time because he's the home fighter. But this is it. This is it. This is it.
Beterbiev such a good finisher. I can't see him.
Oh,
yeah.
The referee's going to come
Ref
in,
should
I
have
think.
really called it.
No, I think the corner, Tunde.
thank you.
There you go.
Tunde's
round
called
eight.
it off.
Thank you.
Round
Thank
8,
you,
which is
Tunde.
what we called.
I said
I was going to say 8
but
as well,
thank
but
you.
yeah.
Thank you.
What a fight.
Wait,
It's
wait.
over.
I
It's
wanna
all
say-
over.
No, but no.
He did.
I did,
He
but
did.
I want to
What
say.
round did you
I said
put it?
8.
8, he
I said I want to
Sure,
say
you
thank
said
you.
12.
No, he said 8. He said 8, I promise you.
I want to say thank you to Tunde because what did I say at the start of this fight? Please save him from himself. He can live to fight another day. He can, after that performance,
He can be very
live
proud of what
to
he
fight
did.
another day, bro.
So in
That was an amazing
case you missed
performance.
that, people, Artur Beterbiev has prevailed. 8th round stoppage. He knocked Anthony Yarde down. And then...
I would like to see a rematch. No, cap,
no,
I would like to see a
I
rematch.
don't think a rematch is...
That was a good fight.
Yeah, but I think there's other belts he can pursue. Listen, before we get on to that, that's in the future. I just want to say we've just witnessed an outstanding fight. Anthony Yarde has come second best tonight, but he put up one hell of a fight.
Yeah, you can go home very
Beterbiev
proud.
actually looks relieved.
Yeah,
He
I think
dropped
so.
down on his knees and he's praying there. I mean, that's customary for him, but even so, you can tell that
Yeah.
he's in a fight tonight. He's pretty banged up.
You
He
can-
got hurt a few
You
times.
can arguably say this was his toughest fight.
Yeah, I've seen-
I've watched. I think maybe this and maybe not even the Voldzic fight because he.
No, Voltic didn't do this to him.
Yeah, no, I think this is his toughest fight.
For sure. I'd agree with that, 100%.
Hell of a performance by Anthony Yarde, but the better man won on the night, I guess.
You know what happened there is he got caught on the way in with a really short right hand that he didn't see. And it's the punches you don't see. He didn't see that short right hand, that straight right hand, and that's what caught him out, man. And that's so unfortunate because he was doing so good. But you know what, yeah? After watching that fight, I'm just... Even though I wanted Yarde to win, I still feel happy for him.
It's
I
a
still
huge,
feel happy for him.
huge improvements.
There is definitely honour in defeat in
But
this
there were
race.
things that we criticised him for before. He lacked lateral movement. He had that. He lacked punch variation. He had a little bit more of that. He lacked
Angles.
He lacked angles. He had more of that. He had so much more. You know, he was rash when he had someone hurt. You know, he had much more composure. He's improved massively.
Gas tank. He
This
didn't
is-
So
gas.
will you
He didn't gas.
admit now, you were saying before that he's made no improvement. I'm sure you will be the first to admit that he showed a lot of
Oh,
improvement tonight.
100%. And I feel like one thing I'll never discredit Yarde from, he loves boxing. He dedicates himself, like he is in the gym 24/7. And listen, I'll tell him, if he was here, I'll tell him straight away, like, after this, you definitely made a believer out of me. You can lose and still make a believer out of me. Like I've always liked him as a person, and that meant I've always wanted him to do well. But I always thought it was unfair for him to be in this fight in the first place.
A few comments here. Pulp Roman says, terrible stoppage. Give the man a chance. I
I
don't know.
don't think so.
To be fair, Yarde did look like he was complaining to Tunde, saying, why did you stop it? But I think that was the right
Yarde's
stoppage.
always going to complain to Tunde.
No, but what I didn't like was when he got knocked down, he walked to the corner and asked what round.
The first knockdown, to be fair, it shouldn't have even been a stoppage from the towel. The first knockdown should have ended it. When he was knocked down...
Well, he just about beat the count, didn't he? I
And
think
then
he got up at 9.
He didn't beat the 8, and when he got up at 9, he was shaky, and
And
the
then
ref was talking to him, and he wasn't...
And he asked
Yeah.
the corner.
Yeah.
I think he asked how long is left in the
Yeah.
round. Which whenever I hear that,
He's trying to survive,
Yeah, he's
obviously.
trying to survive.
So I don't think it's a terrible stoppage.
No. You know what? I'm going to say straight off the bat, Shane is right as well when he said, listen, save him for another day. He put up a great fight tonight, but let's be honest, man, he did take a lot of punishment as well. And we don't want to see guys hit by that one punch too many and come to any serious harm. He was losing the fight. He got knocked down heavily, just about beat
And
the
he got
count, as
knocked down
Nick said.
again.
got
But
knocked down
not only
again.
did he get knocked down against what I was about to say, he got knocked down again with the very, very first punch that was thrown. So he's just beat the count.
And
before there's any time to recover, the first
and
right hand comes and he goes down again.
I think I'm right in saying that there was still quite a lot of time left in the round.
Yeah, it would have been about a minute and a half of getting beaten even more.
Yeah, so.
It's very unlikely at that point that he's going to turn it around.
And against a guy that is a very heavy puncher.
Just to quantify for people that might, and I'm not trying to like take the mick out of people in the chat or whatever, but people that maybe have seen someone get completely laid out and think, well, he wasn't laid out. It's a question. The assessment is corner's making is how likely is it that he's about to turn the tide and come back?
Exactly.
And at that moment, he's probably not turning the tide and winning the round. So actually, he's probably going to be a minute and a half of pure punishment.
And what you got to understand is when your fighter is communicating with you after they've just been knocked down, that's always a telling sign.
But it's interesting because people in the comments, they're not having it. Mason, he says, I can't believe that Yarde should sack whoever threw the towel in. Way too premature in my view. Yarde was getting on top from around round 4.
You obviously, I'm no offense to you, and I want to say this to you, no offense to you, but you obviously don't understand the track record of boxing. I will tell you something that I'm pretty sure 90% of the people don't know. When Beterbiev fought Joe Smith, he got rushed straight to the hospital. When he fought Volzik was in the hospital for 3 days. At the end of the day, these fighters know, there is no one who knows Anthony Yarde more than Tunde.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
No one. None of us do. If the referee stopped it, then I would say, cool, this is premature. But Tunde knows Yarde more than all of us.
Yep.
So
I think Tunde did the right thing.
I think, regardless of whether he did the right thing or not, is Tunde's in the best position, is what Shane's saying, to make that decision more than us or the people at home. He knows him so well. He knows what he can take and what he can't take. And it is what it is, unfortunately. But with that fight, that performance from Anthony Yarde, for me, takes him up. Someone in the chat said he's European level or something like that, national level. I don't think so. That performance shows that he can mix it up at this stage. Even if he's not quite world level fighter to be beating these guys, he can definitely mix it up at this stage.
European level don't do that to Beterbiev.
I'll tell you what, right? Look at Beterbiev's face. Got a nasty cut underneath his left eye. He's marked up, swellings. He's hurt a few times now. I have not seen, and I've watched most of Beterbiev's fights. I've watched all 18, 19 now. By the way, he's still got that
100% KO
knockout record.
We knew that was going to happen, though. If he was
I said Yarde would win.
No, but I said if he was going to win, it was.
There's no way this fight was ever going to go the distance. But I've lost my train of thought there. But
you watch all his.
I've watched all of Beterbiev's fights, and no one has tested him like that.
Nah.
So well done to Anthony Yarde. He called himself a lion. And tonight he fought like a lion.
He fought like a lion, and he went out.
And I can't give him any more credit than that.
Because fighters have to be saved from themselves.
Yes.
Rarely is a fighter going to quit. Rarely.
He will come out of this fight with a lot of plaudits, and you know what? He'll probably get another title shot at somewhere down the line.
That's what I'm saying.
He's proved himself as a world-class fighter.
100%.
There's no shame in losing to Beterbiev like that. There is no shame in losing to Beterbiev like that. This is a man who,
Well, he was. The bookies had him long
Oh yeah,
long odds. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So he's.
It was even more than a gallant effort. It was a tremendous effort.
Facts.
Gallant doesn't think do him justice because he was in there pitching and he hurt Beterbiev
tried to
on
win.
at least 2 occasions.
Yeah, and he tried to win.
And he tried to win. So he came up short. But yeah, so we're gonna wrap things up now. Let's start with Nick. Your overall thoughts?
What we expected to happen, but maybe not in the manner that we expected. I think we called rounds, like you called round 8, I thought round 8 as well, but I called that on the basis of them coming out and starting the fight slowly. But they started the fight really, really quickly. It was action from the very, very beginning. I think the stoppage is really, really fair. And I think the biggest testament to Anthony Yarde putting in a good performance is that Beterbiev is probably going to go home very relieved that he's come through what he's
looked relieved.
Through.
Yeah,
he
he
relieved
did,
when
he
the towel
did.
come in. So good fight from both guys, but pretty much what we expected. And hopefully we can do more boxing content just like this on DR Sports.
Definitely. Shane,
I mean,
you got your prediction right.
I'm 2 for 2 on this channel, bro. I'm 2 for 2. I got AJ right and I got Beterbiev right. I'm 2 for 2, but it's cool. We'll keep it moving.
Yeah.
So, in terms of the fight, I'm not going to lie. Like, I predicted Beterbiev to win, but forget that. what I was more impressed with. Like, I was more impressed with what I saw from Yarde. I knew Beterbiev can do that. I didn't know. He ticked some boxes for me today, Yarde. And I watch boxing all the time. Every week there's a winner, every week there's a loser. But sometimes you can lose and still win. And I feel like watching that fight, not only would he have learned a lot about himself, but he can learn a lot moving forward that he can use for future fights. And I feel like those tests, you know, it's priceless. It's priceless, man.
Okay, well, I'm just going to finish off by saying, first of all, thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. I've really enjoyed your company. Thanks for all the people who put stuff in the comments there and the super chats. Thanks everybody for supporting the channel. It means a lot. It's a great night of boxing. Anthony Yarde came up short, but he put in a tremendous effort. And you know what? Maybe against one of the other champions, he might have come out victorious tonight, but it wasn't to be. The better man won. But Anthony Yarde, well done, bro. You put in a tremendous effort. Thanks to Shane here. Big up yourself. Thank you very much for coming on. And to Nick. We'll be doing, as Nick was saying, we'll be doing more boxing content on the channel. So keep it locked and loaded. There'll be more fights coming up. You heard us talk earlier about the Jake Paul fight. We'll definitely be covering that. AJ's got a big fight coming up. So, yeah, man, just keep it locked and loaded. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.